So I think you need to almost assume that a person who likes you and who you like, that you might make that mistake of just trying to show them your best self by default. And you
Mm.
might have to have that conversation. Listen, I know you got some warts. I'm not saying this purposely show them, but you got to assume everybody has some warts somewhere, and you got to find out whether you can live with that or not.
Hmm.
Or if it's something that. So that's how I look at it. That's how I looked at it. So we had that kind of conversation. I had a lot of conversation with my wife when she was my fiance. That kind of carries us to today. So that was a good point you were making.
Thank you, thank you. Um, what I want to ask you, Arpane, before we move on to Hank and anyone else who wants to respond back. Um, as far as you guys being real with one another and getting deeper into those conversations, because I'm somebody who I hate small talk. I hate, how was your day? Did you eat today? I mean, I know that's like showing concern, but that's it. It kind of stops there, and it's just like, okay, it was a waste of time for me. So when did you feel like you could be vulnerable with your wife before she was your wife?
Ooh, I haven't thought about that. Uh,
I would love to
Okay, you
answer
gotta
that.
think.
yeah, yeah. Because I haven't really. I'm kind of like an open book anyway. So
Mhm,
I didn't have any like real big secrets that I had to worry about her knowing about.
mhm.
So whenever she asked me, I was always willing to ask. But when you say vulnerable, you mean but show her?
Open.
I think I was open with her from the beginning,
Mhm.
from the very beginning. I don't think once I met her, because after this woman is different. She's special to me, right? So we just like went right, went from 0 to 60 right away. So I didn't have any of those kind of conversations. Maybe I won't tell her this. I won't tell her that. I mean, I was a single man. I didn't have no girlfriends at the time or any of that stuff. And I didn't know
We gonna
whether
get
she
into
had
that. We gonna get
uh,
into that. I love when
yeah.
y'all just like know what's going on without knowing what's going on. Y'all be on the same wavelength. I love it.
But let me just end with this. I think I was open from the beginning, and I think part of that was that 6 months prior to me meeting her, I had stopped trying to fool with anybody. If it wasn't somebody serious, I didn't even try to smash. I was just moving on. It's one about my business working. That's not it. So when I was like open book when I met her, so my head was clear.
What's funny
That's
about
rare.
that, our
Well,
pain, is that one of the things that I talk about too that I think guys should do, and it's harder to do in your 20s, but I did it in my 30s. After my divorce, I was out in the streets, so to speak, and when was having things not happen favorably for me, I decided to take myself off the market, and I went in and a voluntary monk mode, so to speak. When I came out of the monk mode, I started really only giving my energy and time to certain people that uh I'm not gonna say earned it, but it made sense for me to do it instead of low quality, low hanging fruit that was kind of easy. But what mattered and what I started really observing is that instead of doing things to try to get the box, so to speak,
Hmm.
I was I started just being myself, being fully hot with people, and if they rock with me, great. If they chose not to rock with me, I didn't care. At the end of the day, I still felt good about just being myself and not trying to show or be a representative just to achieve some type of short term goal or to get
Right?
what I wanted. And the quality of the relationships that I attracted started to improve.
You know,
Right?
I want to say something real quick, right? I think when we start changing the narrative and the stereotypes of how people perceive men, they already perceive us as men that can't be open and be vulnerable. When we start changing that, it's okay to not be okay. That's what we gotta always understand. We gotta be okay with that. We gonna cry. We gonna have to be okay that we gonna have feelings. And once we start putting that forth before these stereotypes, then you could be okay with being your authentic self. Because once you're your authentic self, you don't have to be. It's easier to remember the truth than it is to remember a lie. So I'd
Yeah.
rather just be straightforward, and I'm giving you the option. If you like me, you like me. You don't, you don't. That's the
Bingo.
compatibility part.
Yep.
This
I
is what I'm
agree.
bringing to the table. My table is different from most people's table because I had to unlearn a lot of stuff I learned. All of these common emotions and feelings and stuff that people do, I don't do that. Yeah, I know how to cook. Yep, I know how to clean. Yep, I take care of my son. Yep, I kiss my son on his face. Yep, I do these things. Yeah, I absolutely do this. So, because I'm not going to be the one saying pause because he says something that people could correlate to some kind of homosexual or some gay thing. Yes, I'm gonna eat a banana. If I ate Frank's, I'll bite the Frank, and I'm not gonna be looking at it like pause. We put these stereotypes on us to where people be looking at us like, "Oh, you doing that? You doing?" I don't follow. I leave.
Man,
that.
come on. It must be a Brooklyn thing because I feel the same. That pause thing just don't connect with me. I never did. I'm like, yo, why are you playing? I ain't no child. Why y'all playing this stuff? But that's some Harlem stuff, I guess. And I just don't partake in it. But to your point that you was making, and to answer your question, I don't believe in the word vulnerability. I mean, just you're vulnerable only on things you're ashamed of. I try to not be ashamed of things that I do. It is what it is. If I messed up, I messed up. If I didn't, I didn't. I'm just gonna come forward with it so that I don't have to worry about what you think or how you think or what you feel. It is what it is. So vulnerability to me is part of what we should try and take out of our vocabulary. If we're in the place of wanting to trust or wanting to get in a relationship, we're already stating or implying that we want to trust them. And in order to start trusting, we have to be open.
We perfectly flawed, each and every last one of us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And just one quick point. When I start dating somebody, it took me a long time. First, I had to get with myself and unlearn a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff is programmed in us. Like we literally programmed from the second we come out. But I'm gonna say this: once I had to really unlearn all of these emotions and feelings that everybody make normal. Like it's almost like somebody say all couples argue. No, you don't have to. You don't have to argue. We just have a discussion. It's a discussion. We have a disagreement. We don't have to argue because if you look up like he said, remove that word. Some words we really have to remove from the narrative because people take that as. There's so many words that people put into a negative sense that we should be doing. Like my wife could use me. Yes, I'm using my wife. She gonna use me. Yes, I need my wife. She need me. Like you understand what I'm saying? But people will take those words and go, "What you mean you're using me? I don't need you." They be looking at the wrong things. The things that we should be applying, we're not.
I agree. I don't know about taking vulnerability out of our vocabularies, because all vulnerable means is to be open. Be brave enough to be open. It doesn't mean that you're ashamed of something. It just means that you are at a place where you're ready to be open about it. So it could be, someone passed and it caused you a lot of anger. Instead of saying that you're angry about it, you're acting out in ways where we can clearly see something's wrong. So being vulnerable is saying, hey, because my grandmother or because my father passed away, I'm angry about it, and I'd rather talk it out rather than to again be reactive than proactive. Go ahead, King.
I have a question for R. Payne as the person who's been with his wife almost as long as I've been alive, and I mean that with all the respect that is due for that. My lady and I got this game right here called Let's Get Deep. We opened it today. We tried it out. It's got 3 different levels to it: icebreaker, deep, and deeper. And it adds various questions that invoke. It's not just like a yes no thing, but you get a response from the person that you're asking. What are your thoughts on stuff like this to get to know somebody, and if it's worth investing in something like this? Like, I'm not trying to promote them. They didn't send me this. We literally just tried it today, and we thought it was pretty good cards with some really good questions. But I like to get your
I
take
think
on how
anything
you
that
guys
gives
did
you
it.
some, I think anything that gives you, some avenues for discussion, I don't see how it hurts.
Okay.
Could I say something? Because
Definitely.
I'm at work. I'm at work, right? And I got to get ready to go in, right? But I want to say something, right? You know how we had school, right? You know how they say it's levels to this shit, whatever. They gave us school levels, grades, right? And as you going from kindergarten all the way up to whenever you get your doctrines or whatever the highest level of learning, this is how I make my correlation to relationships. Because when I'm dating somebody, I'm looking at how they are in math. I'm looking at how they are in science. I'm looking at how they are in English. I'm looking at how they are in physical ed. I'm looking at all the subjects that classes that they gave us to grow in school and education. Is the same formula I use in the book. I got the report card scale. I look at all those things. I don't mind a woman getting 65. I don't even mind she get left back, but we don't really want to do summer school and all that. We just don't want to do that. We want to see how we can improve in that area of relationships, whatever area you title it, whether it's social studies, especially social studies. If they got a spiritual class, I want to know where you at in that. I have to grade that. I have to look at those areas because that's what makes the average come out to where we compatible. If that makes any sense.
I
I hear
definitely
you.
agree. When you go back to school, the next grade is going to test you on the grade that you were in prior to getting to that grade to see how much you know, to see, at what level now that we're at a new level, how are we going to assess, your learning style, what you already know and what we're going to be learning in the future. So I agree. You have to take measures of seeing where people are. Hank, how are you this evening?
I'm good. How about yourself, man?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Were you able to see that second video that we played about the two dating pools?
No, I don't. I didn't see that video.
Okay. Before we play it again, Karan, I know you said that you're at work. I did want to get into your book, but I may have to have you come back as like an interview, like a one-on-one with me and you. Would you be okay with that?
Absolutely. I got 16 minutes left. So whatever the 16 minutes is, I could stay on for that much.
Okay. I still may do the one-on-one with you just because of the flow of the show, but let's
That's
get
fine.
we're gonna play this video again so Hank can weigh in on it, because I think we answered it, but I don't think we kind of really went over some of the things that they were actually talking about here.
It is. Think of this. There's from what I have found, there are two different dating pools, and they don't flag or signal to each other at all. They have almost no crossover. They're not even aware of each other. There's the secure people who want that direct, human, authentic connection of we are together, we are talking, we're sharing this bond. They don't want stimulation because it feels weird. Too much stimulation up front feels weird to them. They understand that connection, so they want the right bonding experience. Then there's the insecure pool that everybody is trying to be interesting, and they're playing that anxious or that avoidant dance over here. Two different pools that never cross. So when you see guys, every woman out there expects you to be 8 feet tall and have an 18-inch dick, and you have to have 10 billion in the bank. And no, you don't. And you don't have to dance for her amusement and endlessly play games or have dread game or control her. That's only going to work on those insecure women over here. It's never going to work on secure women. They will get up and walk away. You're going to look confusing to them or disinterested, and they're going to track as confusing or disinterested for you. The two dating pools are segregated out completely according to this model. It is wild to see.
All right, Hank. So what do you think about that? The two dating pools. Are there two dating pools today? People who want connection, who are not really amused by small talk, and then there's people who are anxious and they're trying to be likable, but there's no connection. They're not getting a connection.
Yeah, I believe there is. I
Mhm.
believe there is. But unfortunately, the ones who don't want the connection is probably the ones who may be the right one for you, but they just don't know how to communicate it. They don't know how to talk or say what they need to say and express themselves in the way they need to express themselves.
Hmm.
There's a lot of situations like that. Some people just don't want to come out the house. Some they just rather be a hermit and live in and pray to somebody, the Lord sends them their way. But without works, you get nothing. You got to go out there and work, fight for it. And so if you're not willing to do out there and get out there and grind a little bit, you get what you get. So yeah, I do agree there is two different dating pools. Sound like the haves and the have-nots. So
You ain't say you was going to be preaching tonight. Hey, I didn't get the memo. But since you're here, I'll say amen.
Right on.
I agree, though. What you said, and I don't know if people really caught it, were really listening to you, but the person that is not getting the connection just may not know how to communicate that, and that was real. All right, so getting into the book just a tad bit, Quan. I know you got to go into work. Should you apply marriage rules in dating? Yes or no?
Well, the title of the book is "Don't Put Marriage Rules in Dating," right? This is just my perception, my view, and how I see things. I'm not saying it's law, but I'd like to start from the beginning, because if we go back to spiritually how God create everything, it starts from a seed. So we got to know from the beginning. I got to know who you are. I got to know what your parents are. You got siblings. Have you been trauma? Do you have any sexual assaults when you was younger? Or a lot of these PTSDs and traumas sometimes move forward into someone's adulthood. So in the beginning, instead of people looking at this my thing, instead of me looking at what I do like about the person, tell me what I may not like. Let me get that out the way quick. Let's put that on the table. I want the table to be different. So when it comes to don't put marriage rules in dating, I have to give certain things as stages. That's why I correlated it to school. You're going to get this first grade, you're going to get this second grade, you're going to get this third grade, or whatever grade we meet at. If she come in on an educated, if she going nigga, bitch, B, then I already know that what grade you in. You're not going to get this doctrine conversation over here, and I'm probably going to end it within that first week, because I'm not going to go through that. No woman want to raise a man, and no man don't want to raise a woman. We not doing that. We got to really start to look at the person we're dealing with, the compatibility factors. That's why the report card scale is so important, and you can correlate it to even like work. When a job hire you, you got a 90-day probation period, so they can see if you qualified to even work that job. You hiring a lifetime mate. So I have to look at your qualifications to see if I want to even be a lifetime spouse for you. So we have to take the steps. So I don't throw marriage rules in the beginning, because then I'm giving you way too much, and then this is where it gets foggy at, because we dealing with frequencies and energies, just like what he just said. When the connection is not, you ever try to take two back magnets and they put them backwards and they just don't connect? You know how you push it repels. So that automatically right there, if that frequency and that energy is off from that person, I'm gonna give it probably another week or so to see if I'm gonna fire you, to be honest, or get fired. Because she may not like me how I am. Because where I'm at today, some people just like not do. They like, I'm not gonna stop eating this pork. I'm not gonna stop doing this. I'm not gonna stop. And to each his own. It ain't no love loss. It's just not for me. You're not compatible with me, because that's gonna be that magnet.
Gotcha.
So just basically, it's just I don't put marriage rules and dating in the very beginning. People jump straight to that, and they didn't even get to know that person, and then they'd be like, I didn't know you was like that, and you didn't try to find out.
Well, we're definitely gonna have you come back. I'm actually gonna purchase your book, so I'll have some things underneath my belt when we go over it. But I want to do a one-on-one interview with you. Things leading up to writing the book and some things about you. So definitely stay tuned for an invite from me on that.
Absolutely.
Guys, definitely look up Don't Put Marriage Rules in Dating. Where can everyone find your book?
On Amazon. Punch in Don't Put Marriage Rules in Dating. It's on Amazon.
All righty. I want to get to some of these comments before we move on to the next topic. Jennifer O'Jenny says, I was married for 30 years, and what is going to be the downfall of everything is communication. God Happened to Me says, I think in 2023, people underestimate the value and necessity of quality conversations with their partner, which is why I think that that card game is really good. Like Arpane was saying, any way that you can get the conversation started is good. You're already, 10 steps ahead, because a lot of people don't even attempt to get the conversation started, and things wallow and they become dormant in your relationship, and you're like, but I thought we were doing good, or I didn't realize that. And somebody knew. It's because it was sitting inside of somebody. They just weren't communicating about it. Or they assumed that their partner or their significant other, husband, wife, whatever you want to call them, just knew that something was wrong and they didn't bring it up. The King of Me says, Jennifer, oh, Jenny, did communication just stop? One would think you'd be able to have shorthand when you've been, one would
Well,
think you'd be
that
able
you
to
would
have
have
shorthand
shorthand when you've been
when
married
you've
that long.
been that long.
Yeah, she was the one that said she was married for 30 years, and then she followed that up with keyword was. So I was curious if she had anything to add to that, because being married for that long, I was curious, like, how much do you still need to know, or how much does communication matters when you've been married that long?
Well, it looks like she says yes, stopped dead in its tracks into that multiple cheating situations, and that's what ends 30 years.
Well, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
What
We
I
have
what I think
Trinidad T, who says, Mr. Hing, do you like Miss Precious' shirt?
I didn't even notice that.
Go Eagles.
Nice.
I'm sorry I cut you off, Sean. What were you saying?
No, I was going to say that communication is really critical in every portion of your relationship. It should never stop, because change never stops.
Mhm.
We change our minds, we change our feelings, we change our environment, we change a lot of things. And if you don't communicate that change, and someone's not paying attention to the details, like we were speaking about earlier, it could become a significant failure in your relationship. And I think that's where a lot of relationships fail, is simply because they stop communicating, or they take it for granted. They start the communication, you start feeling like oh, I
Right.
know what they're gonna say. I know what you're gonna do. And a lot of times you might know 70% of the time, but that 30% could be dangerous and harmful to your relationship.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
Yeah,
true. I mean, it's
assumptions.
funny. Go ahead, Precious.
Now I was going to say the assumptions is what will kill you. You
And
don't
one of
know
the
for
things I've
sure.
learned. Oh, I'm sorry, you still going. I'm sorry. I'm
Go
cutting you
ahead,
off.
love. Go ahead, love. No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, one of the things in communications, you got to really be. I don't want to use the word tolerant. You have to be kind of accepting of the way your partner, not partner, I hate to use that word, your wife or spouse communicates too. See, my wife is like the Africans, right? She always got stories to tell. So the point might be all the way over here, but she's got to go through a loop. So I had to recognize that, because I used to say, just get to the point, just get to the point. And then at some point I said, you know what? I gotta let her say it how she wants to say it, because now, I'm so used to it. Her going through all this stuff. It just makes me smile, because she'll go up and sometimes she'll catch herself. She's going on this ride, and she said, then she like lets me off the hook and say, "This is what I really want." But you have to get used to that. Like, I'm direct, but she takes us on a ride. And I said, it's cool, because that's the way her style is, and so she has to get it all out. But you have to be used to that, because if you just like sharp and you start cutting your spouse off, if I would have tried to change her, then I'd be taking something away from her.
Mhm.
And I had to learn early on not to do that. You know,
Mhm.
so we communicate pretty well because I know her communication style. That I just say, okay, listen, I'm ready to go for this ride. Take me on that roller coaster. Yeah, but it's cool though. Yeah, we still talk, and even after 36 years, there's always something to talk about. And I don't know if I was on this panel. I'll be real quick. We were driving. It was like 33rd anniversary somewhere. We were driving, and she told me a story about her past that she never told me before. It was just like brand new.
Wow.
I said, man, after all this time, I'm still learning something new about my wife. I said, how you didn't tell me that before? You just, it wasn't really something that deep, but it was just something
Mhm.
she never told me. And I said,
Wow.
wow, that was something. So all that time, you could always find something new about a person. And I chalk that up to her just being a woman. Because guys always got something in the closet.
Something in the tuck.
You know?
Something in the tuck.
Oh man, I just want to say this before you go, Karan. I want to salute you for for coming on with us.
Yeah.
One and two. One thing y'all don't know about Karan, he's a single dad. You know, in the sense of he takes care of his son. His son lives with him.
Right.
Not to say that the mother is absent. I'm just saying the son lives with him and he takes on that responsibility. And that's something that a lot of men don't get credit for. So I wanted to acknowledge that, salute that before you went into work.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah. I wrote the book down, even
You
though
know,
I
that's my next book.
You said ninth?
His
Yeah,
next
that's
book.
my next book.
Oh,
His next book.
My next book is I had a fight with autism and won because my
Oh, wow.
son was diagnosed with autism
Hmm.
for the past 16 years now. And
Wow.
nobody had no idea about what I went through with speech therapies, occupational therapies, all kinds of stuff to get him back, his neurological system back functioning.
Yeah.
There's actually another content creator. Oh my goodness, I can't think of his name right now. Tahoe. He's based out of New York. He has twins that has autism. So I'm actually going to see if I can reach out to him too and get him on the panel and we can have that conversation.
Well, Karan,
That's
salute
what's
to
up.
you. You got to go in. It's 9:59. Thank you again, and can't
Yep.
wait to have you on our next panels.
Yes,
Peace.
join us
Anytime,
anytime.
anytime. I'm
Have a great
always down
evening.
to get in. All
Have
right,
a good
peace,
one.
y'all.
We'll see you
Peace.
soon.
yeah, peace,
Bye-bye.
peace.
Alrighty. So we'll go into the next topic. Now, these are two videos from the same show. Harley Initiated. Shout out to them. They've been putting out some really good content lately, some really good guests. They lately just had Pastor Jamal Bryant. I don't follow him as a pastor. I've never listened to him actually, but I did see this interview with him and the guys from Harley Initiated, and it was a really good one. So if you guys have the time an opportunity to check it out. It is catering to, or he's speaking to the men. He's speaking to some of the things that he went through as a married man and now a divorcee. But there were two clips that I clipped, and I wanted to get you guys' perspective on it. So I'm going to play the first one, and then we'll get into the last one.
Men all the time. One of the mistakes I made is my first attempt at monogamy was marriage.
What does that mean?
You know what?
Hold
You
on,
know
wait.
what? No, I know. No,
Break that one
I know
down
where you're
for
going.
me.
I think I know where
Yes.
you're going with it.
And before he breaks it down, look at King. Is he looking up to the sky? What do you guys think that means before he breaks it down? What do you guys think that he means that his first attempt at monogamy was when he got married?
I don't know
Anyone?
what he meant,
It
but
means that he failed.
I feel like I was just about to say I feel like he failed. I don't know what he meant, but it sounded like he's leading into I failed horribly. So let's see. I'm curious to know myself.
All I'm gonna say is our pain kind of spoke to it a little bit. He did, and the actual King Smith actually spoke to it a little bit. But we'll keep going, and you guys will see what he means. But they spoke to it a tad bit earlier, about pretty much practicing monogamy.
because you will even have, you know, we got friends that have gotten married, but they've been a player for all their entire life,
Their whole lives.
their whole lives, and they think that, hey, when I get married, it's all gonna change.
Yeah, no. So I think that you have to practice.
You gotta practice monogamy.
Yes. It ain't gonna come through osmosis.
You know, that's so interesting because I don't know if that's something that I've really ever heard said that way prior, because it's like a conditioning into that lifestyle, because it's a whole mindset. It's a philosophy almost, if you will,
Yes.
of being able to prep yourself to now have this new value system.
Yes.
And even a way to tame your urges,
Yes.
you know, biologically of your body.
Yeah, so I'm not even giving out membership to the Players Club. Let's just say, hypothetically. No, seriously, let's say hypothetically, you're dealing with 2 women in a month. Let's enlarge the tent. You're dealing with 3 women in a month.
Okay.
Let's say you live in Atlanta.
Okay.
It's 4 women in a month. Hypothetically.
Right.
Those numbers can go up quick.
Yes. I'm not advocating for this. This is not what I'm saying.
It happened, yeah.
I'm saying, let's say you with 4 women in a month, and that's the regimen you on.
Yeah.
It's natural. That's what you do.
Yeah.
You don't have no guilt about it. You don't have no conscience. None of them think that you committed. You with 4 a month. That 4th one, you decide, you know, let me lock this down. You have not purged out your system of the 3. And the danger that we have is that we have compartmentalized our sexuality to have sex without intimacy.
Is it time to talk to your doctor?
All right. I think Hank, you might have to drop the link. Can you drop the link, Hank, if you don't mind? So Ricky could come up. So guys, what do you think about this? He said his first attempt at monogamy was when he got married, and then he broke that down. So, you know, what do you guys think about that in today's society, especially?
Well, I'll chime in first. I think that everybody kind of hinted around to it, and they even mentioned it. Monogamy is often work, and you have to put intention and effort into doing so. Because, like Karan mentioned earlier, we learn certain things, and so monogamy is something almost we're unlearning what we have already naturally in society has often advocated, projected, and even taught us. So, you know, they taught us, oh, how many girlfriends you got from when we was 5 years old. You know, that was the first question that both men and women would ask us. How many girlfriends you got? You know, so this was a subconscious learned behavior, not to mention the conscious learned behavior that happens. You got to consciously and intentionally unlearn it, to practice it, and in order to do it. And to what they said earlier, I too feel the same way, because it desensitizes you when you are dealing with a lot of different women. It desensitizes your ability to connect with them emotionally. It desensitizes, you know, it's kind of like how corn desensitizes your sexual abilities, because you sometimes, you know, doing things that will not lend to the satisfaction of another. It's only lending to your satisfaction. And so, you know, you got to unlearn certain things in order to be able to practice them. And monogamy is one of those things that I always was an advocate of monogamy, because my father was, he was out there. I'll just say that. So I automatically went into, I don't want to do that. So I took monogamy seriously. And unfortunately, I might have took it more serious than those who I got involved with. Not unfortunately, that's what happened. I took it more serious than those who I got involved with. But it made me think that those who can't be trusted can't be trusted. Those who can't trust can't be trusted. I learned that through my own actions, because when I did not trust for the first time, I became what I didn't like in people, untrustworthy. And that's what I had to relearn and start to practice so I can be monogamous in a relationship. Because the way I feel, if I don't want to be monogamous, then I just need to go ahead and have, be single and be single very openly as I am now, and it is what it is. So monogamy is a practice. I think that if you plan to get into marriage, you should practice it unless you have an open marriage that you both agree to. And I'll emphasize that last part, that you both agree to.
Okay, thank you. Who wants to go next? Arpain?
Yeah.
Before you go, welcome to the panel, Ricky. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Yeah, Mandrill.
And Mandrill.
Yeah, you don't see nobody else?
Hey, everybody.
I was getting there. I wanted Ricky to respond.
That's so funny.
Mandrill, thank you so much for joining us.
Man.
Well, it's funny about monogamy. Like I said, I have my constant theory about men in general. I think our demand for sex, no matter whether you're a saint or a sinner, is constant. Our demand for sex as men has been constant since the beginning of man. Monogamy is a choice. And one of the things I tell guys that, young guys getting ready to get married, they say, well, I want to have my last bit of flings. I want to get it out of my system. And I tell you, let me stop you right there. The way you're wired is going to be the way you're wired, even if you're married. So there's no real getting it out of your system. If you like to smash a lot of women, you're going to like to smash. You're going to think about smashing women when you're married. So you just got to keep making the choice that you're not going to do it, or don't get married. That's it. That's it. Because you're going to always be attracted to women, and it's not going to stop just because you said I do. So you have to make a choice. And the same thing with women. When people say, well, I know my wife ain't cheating, blah, blah, blah. I said, your wife doesn't cheat because she chooses not to, not because you're some kind of, Latin lover or some kind of thing like that. That plays a part. But it's always a choice. And I think sometimes we don't think about how important the choice is to do something in your life or not do something. It's really always a choice. And you try to keep yourself out of situations where that choice becomes harder and more difficult. Like for me, if I ever cheated on my wife, it would be a real cheat because I have to, my whole dating life before her, I had to somehow cultivate a relationship with a woman, the better. Right. So if I was going to cheat with my wife, women didn't come up to me and just tap me on the shoulder. So let's get down. I had to make steps to make it happen. So that was real cheating. Even if it didn't mean anything once I got it, I still went through a premeditation to do it. So that choice was easy for me not to, because I'd be sinning all the way to the deed, so I don't want to do that. So it's a choice. That's what it is. So let me land it there.
Okay.
Well, not if you're a star athlete. I was watching Foreman last night, and right after he won the heavyweight championship, there was a woman who just appeared in his hotel room.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But he still had a choice. He just
had a choice.
Anyway, who's next?
Did you, Mandrill, did you see the video before we move on?
I did.
Oh, okay.
Monogamy is not a choice at all. No, it is a choice. I'm sorry. It's not a practice. That's what I meant. It's not a practice at all. You don't practice monogamy. You just do it. It's a decision you make and a commitment that you make. If you're a guy who starts something but never finishes it, or you start things but you don't finish most of the things you start, you're not ready for the commitment of that magnitude. You're one woman your whole rest of your life. I mean, and it goes to like a willpower, like a discipline. You just weren't mentally ready for it. No, I mean, it's just, I've been a monogamous my whole life, so I might be kind of biased. I don't understand the guys who just want to bang everything out there. I don't get that. Yeah, I see women and they're attractive. Yeah, I see attractive women too. But I've always been wary of diseases. I didn't want to catch an STD. To this day, I never have. God willing, I never will. but I've always thought of my own safety first before smashing. But for some reason, I mean, guys are just you don't care about yourselves. I don't see how a guy who sleeps around with different women cares about himself. You don't love yourself, in my opinion. But you don't. You're so selfish that you're too selfish for yourself. You don't. I mean, I don't understand. It's the same principle with fat people. You don't care about yourself. I mean, you're just gluttonous. But it's a choice. You do choose to. You can choose to sleep with other people as well. It's a choice. You're not practicing anything. It's just you're living life. I made a choice and a commitment to do this. That's what I'm doing. It's not a practice. It's life.
Question. And I'm not being funny, but I was looking this up and I said, ooh, this kind of changes my perspective. What all is involved in monogamy in the way that we're talking about it?
Okay, well, from my understanding, it's being with one person and one person only, intimately, when it comes to intimacy and sex. So that's the context that I'm understanding that we're coming from. If there's something different, please let me know, and I'll comment on that as well. But I mean, this whole thing about it being a practice, Sean, I think you're being too soft on it. You're giving guys a way out, and women.
What do you got playing, big girl?
Huh?
You got something playing?
Come
on, dog.
Anyway,
come on, dog.
But man, Troy, what I meant by practice, you actually lent to my point of view when you said it's kind of like being disciplined. That discipline takes practice.
Well, it's but when you get disciplined on something good enough, Sean, you know full well it's second nature. It's no longer discipline. It's just a part of who you are.
Second nature.
It becomes a part of who you are. Yeah.
Initially, you're right. But what I'm saying is, it's not difficult. I agree with you when you put your mind to it. But the point is, you have to put your mind to it often, because you have a lot of other mindsets that you've been conditioned with, perhaps, or that you might believe. Fortunately for you, that wasn't something that you had a challenge with as a young man. But there were a lot of young men who have had that challenge that we was speaking about earlier. A few people said so and admitted they were a player. And if you're a player, then that's a condition in itself. And you have to uncondition that. And that's where I say practice. You have to practice not to do what you're used to doing in order to achieve what we're speaking about.
Right. So here's, help me pull my coat over on this one, because it sounds like a drug addict. And I understand there's nymphomaniacs and there's men with psoriasis, and psoriasis is the same thing as nymphomania. It's nymphomania in women, psoriasis in men. Okay, so yeah, I understand that being part of mental health, because some of those people are traumatized in one way or another, maybe not physically, but somehow it led to a mental health issue, and they have an unhealthy relationship with intimacy and towards the opposite sex or same sex, whatever you like, whatever, but apart from them, I think the vast majority of people out there are just they're careless, and they're not taught to recognize value, even within themselves. And that's why they don't choose monogamy when they commit to monogamy. They can't hold it, they'll get in there. If you're not committed to monogamy, fair game, do what you do. I got nothing against that. If that's how you want to live your life. But once you tell someone, I'm going to be with you and only you forever, and you don't do it, now I have a problem. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? So if it's a guy, he's being honest, and whatever. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Cool. All right. But I mean, the whole thing with these guys getting these marriages and I cheated. I had a backslip. No, you knew that before you got married. I don't buy it. That goes for women too. Ladies, I don't buy it. You knew full well, and women are the sneakiest ones. They're the worst about that, because the women will do it behind your back. The guy will never know. He'll never know until she packs her stuff and leave. I've seen that happen in the Army way too many times. It's like, yo, you didn't know? I had no clue. Everything was great. Everything was fun. This guy comes home, everything is gone, including the ice cubes in the freezer.
Everything wasn't fine. He just didn't leave.
He just didn't know. You know what I mean? And here's the thing: he was doing everything he was supposed to do, but he didn't know that she felt the way she felt about all the deployments we went on. She just didn't communicate that with him. Like Sean says, I agree with Sean when he said that communication is critical, absolutely critical. If that's the way she felt, she should have said so. You know what I'm saying? Then you have one guy, his wife, he didn't want to stay in the Army anymore because he got tired of all the deployments. He has 2 kids. He doesn't even know because he's deployed. We were deployed so much. So he was telling her, I want to get out. I don't want to re-enlist. No. The signing bonus over there is too big. Re-enlist. You re-enlist, signing bonus hits his account. We get back stateside. She's gone. So is their bank account. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, Precious. Y'all are real messed up when it comes to this kind of thing. Guys, they'll let you know, even if it's in a roundabout way. But women, you will know that there's something wrong with your dude. Ladies, y'all slick. The guy will never know. He'll swear. He'll think you'll have the guy swearing up down. You got his back. Nah. And the thing is, women, y'all know that y'all like that.
Mandrell, you got to pass the mic, brother. We appreciate your story.
No problem. Go ahead. My point is, they know before they get married.
It's a beautiful thing. Thank you for serving your country.
Look at his face. Thanks, God damn, Hank.
I know that's right. Hey, look, is it a choice? Yeah, I believe it is. But do you have to practice? Yeah. Some cats don't have options. You motherfuckers ain't getting no ass. Y'all ain't got no choice. So the first thing coming, like Brother Payne said, he had to take first thing going. He couldn't get it nowhere else. Man, Jay, you had to get it where you can because you couldn't get it nowhere else.
That's not true. I turned it down.
Stop.
People thought I was crazy, but I've always been very selective of who I date.
And
busting up with. Always been very selective.
For individuals,
I don't think I said it quite like that. I don't think
I was waiting for you to say.
For individuals who don't have options, they just don't have options. So now, look, y'all talk about guys in their 20s being right. You could get an STD from your girl who you think is faithful, but she's out. You being loyal and monogamous, but she's not. She's out there turning tricks. Now she coming home bringing that dirty booty to you. So what you gonna do? It is what it is. You should always wear protection until you bless her with your last name. I don't know why you wouldn't. You put a lot of people out like that? No,
you can't let that one pass, Hank.
Yeah, it don't feel the same, Hank.
I want you to say that.
Mindro, that's when you should have stayed silent.
What happened to your discipline? Come on.
Yeah, that was very profound. What I'm speaking of when you said you shouldn't until you give them your last. Can you repeat that again? Because that's missed by a lot of men.
No, I'm saying you should protect yourself by wearing protection until you bless a woman with your last name. I mean, that should be your main concern is your well-being. The hell with her. I got to worry about me. Now, once I bless her with my last name, I deem her good enough to know she's worthy enough. I could put my life in her hands. But until that point, I got to make sure I'm good. So, yeah, I mean, look, for guys who don't have the options, it's unfortunate. And you're not able to enjoy the fruits of the labor of the streets and all that good stuff. It is what it is. But like you said, eventually you have to settle down and like you said, practice monogamy. Because if that's what you and her agreed on, then you got to do it. If you can't, then you taking a chance on like you said, man, you're catching an STD. Nobody want that, especially that shit that penicillin can't cure.
Yep.
Well, all right. Who hasn't spoken on this? Ricky?
RP, Ricky?
Yeah, can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, we do.
Okay. Excuse me if I got any background noise. I'm at work, so yeah, I mean, to get back to the point that he made on the video, as far as a lot of men, when they get into a relationship, a monogamous relationship don't have that practice, because usually until then you out there moving and shaking. You know what I mean? And the truth is, men and women alike, we're all creatures of habit, right? So if you've been, you know, dating multiple women and then you attempt to settle down with one woman, you got to break that habit.
Yeah.
Right. This is why I don't get and especially when you think about it, as far as a younger person, when your hormones raging, you look the best you ever look. You know what I mean? You moving faster than the fastest you ever move. It's a hard thing for anybody if they haven't really buckled down. And no matter what nobody say, it's a practice. It's a practice of monogamy, because men like other women and women like other men. You have to practice it, right? So it's a habit that you must develop. So where it lies in, I guess, this is why I hate the excuse of when people say that body counts don't matter. Yes, it does, because any person, if you, just like Mandrell said, if you're going against your body, you have to develop a habit of going to the gym, right? You got to develop a habit of making your bed every day, right? Cleaning up, where everything, we're creatures of habit. You guys ever switch jobs or do something to move and then you still going to the same place? You be like, what am I doing going here?
The same, yeah.
That's the same thing, just on a different scale. So it takes practice, right? And what that takes, it takes the mental fortitude plus discipline plus practice. Then you'll get there, right? So again, I think it's foolish, to be honest with you, for a woman, if she's a woman or a man, if you call yourself cuffing this person and being with this person, and you know they was out there running them streets, and you think that you're gonna tame them in the first 5, 6, 7 months that they with you. I think that's delusional.
Yep.
Right? Because it's a habit that people gotta break. So that's all I got on this part.
Thank you.
Agreed. You know what's interesting? What about those people who actually were not out there in those streets, but then got hurt or something changed their trajectory, and they decided they wanted to be out there and try these streets and are enjoying what they're trying? I mean, I've seen that happen.
They're fulfilling the fantasy. It's something they always fantasize about doing. And it goes back to what Hink said. Now that person recognizes that they have the options, they go out and exercise them. Consequences be damned. And that right there lies the issue. Not thinking about the consequences, not thinking about, okay, what this could turn out to be. He's thinking about, that the person, he or she, thinking about what they can get out of it. You know what I'm saying? But they ain't thinking about the negative consequences either. That's what it is. You don't just flip and say, oh, I'm going to start, monogamous your whole life and start, going on a mad tear.
Some people
That's
do
not
that.
a thing. Yeah, I know. But again, that's something they always wanted to do. And my thing is, okay, why would you try it while you're monogamous in a relationship? If you're going to do that, my point is, if you're going to do that, do it. But then tell the other person, though, be honest. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, monogamy should prevent you from doing that. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I've always had options. Never had a problem getting women. I've just been very selective, and I take my commitments very seriously. Every single one of them. So I don't understand you niggas. Y'all do stuff like that.
Wow, you really got touched by that. We all became niggas real quick.
I cannot.
I'm just saying, it's just. I mean, I see a whole lot of debauchery out here. I'm just calling it for what it is, man. It's just no point sugarcoating it anymore. I mean, y'all know they foul, Sean. They know. So I'm just gonna call them what they are.
I mean, quite frankly, a lot of people do not. We said it several times. Value what you're valuing. And I commend you for what you and how you're valuing it. But a lot of people have different values. They don't value, they aren't concerned with STDs, possibly because they already have one, possibly whatever the reason for it, they don't value that. And not to say they don't value themselves. You know, that would be like saying, and here's my example why I say that. That would be like saying somebody who takes a risk on the stock market doesn't value his family. He's just taking a risk that could possibly reward him.
But do you risk it all, or or do you risk what you can afford?
That's a matter of opinion. That's a matter of a person. I agree. You shouldn't risk it all.
You know, it's a matter of responsibility, Sean. You know that.
Some people aren't that responsible. Responsibility is another thing that's learned.
You go. They suffer the consequences then.
Hey,
ain't no sense like boss sense.
Hey, Hink, what's the difference in waiting to going in raw until you bless somebody with the last name? Like, I don't understand the choice behind it.
So you want to know why a man should not go in a naked head raw? Is that what you asked?
Yes, sir.
Well, like again, you putting a faith into an individual's hand who you really may not know.
Yeah.
But it stands to reason, and one could bring up that once you have blessed that person with your last name, what you just said still applies. It doesn't ensure fidelity or faithfulness in that woman just because they're now your wife.
Nothing does though.
Okay.
That's real.
She could still go out and be
You
honored.
got to give some credit to your vetting process to give her your last name. That's really what it is.
Okay.
You know, so your probability is a little higher.
And part of your vetting is going to the local clinic. I go and make a doctor visit with her, seeing what that blood work looking like.
Yeah, that's good.
And it goes back to what Sean said. It's a gamble. Literally everything we do is a gamble. Like the words we use on this platform is a gamble. Walking across the street, taking a drive to the store, taking a walk outside. It's swallowing food or water. It's all a gamble. You can choke at any time. Just my thing is how much you gonna bet, and is the possible reward worth the possible loss? Does it justify the cost? You know what I mean? Like, look at what you stand to lose here. You can catch something, like he said, you can catch something permanent, like a lot of people out there have. In the Army, it was rampant. Herpes was. Harris, why don't you get find a nice young lady and get married? Nah. Nah. Too many of y'all.
You have a different experience.
Too many of y'all. Yeah. No, I think it's not. Listen, didn't say I didn't see any action in the Army. Of course. Young, you know what I'm saying? Olympic class athlete shape that we were in. So of course, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I strapped up every time. And you have to take precautions. Yes. I don't play about my health now. I sit here and I joke around on these panels and stuff like that. Just for entertainment, but my health, I've never joked around about that.
Allegedly, he's strapped up every time.
No, I thought you was dedicated to every woman you was with.
I didn't say I was dedicated to every woman I was with. I never said that. I said I said I take my commitments very seriously. If I'm committed to you, I'm committed to you. That's it. There's no breaking it.
Let's get it on the wordplay there, y'all.
Damn, you sound like a goddamn
versus lack thereof. Monogamy versus lack. I guess the word commitment, monogamy is when you have committed or made the choice to commit.
And yeah.
Hold on. Precious, what did you think of the video?
So I agree with him. It is something that you have to practice, right? Even women, right? If you're used to going out with men all the time, you used to men paying for your dinner every other weekend, you used to men buying you things, then when you get married, you're going to expect for your husband to be the 5 men that you were with prior to being married. You have to isolate yourself. You have to practice monogamy. And you practice that by saying, okay, my mom and dad always say, be still. There are times where you just have to be still. Because when you trying to rip and run and you here and you there and you with this person, you with that person, your mind and your mannerisms and what you're expecting is not going to be realistic when you're actually trying to settle down with somebody, because you still got Jimmy, John, and Jacob in your head and what they did for you and how Jimmy, John, and Jacob hit it. So you have to take the time to isolate yourself, get yourself together, do the things that you would as a wife, but keep that, that access very, very, very limited. You have to keep it limited, because when you start opening it up to everyone and then you say, oh, I want to settle down and get married now. Again, you're going to have Jacob, John, and Jacob. And then just like for men, you're going to not be committed to the one person. You may be committed to them, maybe emotionally, but physically, are you going to be committed to them? They always say what you do in your singleness, you're going to bring into your marriage. Your marriage is not going, marriage is not just going to fix something. Marriage is not going to fix, a flaw or a thorn in the side of the person that you're with. It's not going to fix it. It's just going to magnify it. And so knowing that and going into that, you have to know that, okay, do I have all my stuff together? Because if I don't, it's only going to get magnified once I join with someone. So we have to be smart about these things. Like y'all talked about working out. It's a practice. When you start in a new job, you got to build a muscle for the practice and the discipline to fall in line with what they want, what their goals are, what their calls to actions are, what their value props are. You have to be disciplined and practice those things. So it's no different when it comes to being with someone. And sometimes you have to rid yourself and you have to rid your psychological and your emotions of the people that hurt you and the people that you thought was going to be here and it's not. No, you have to rid yourself of those people, and you have to have a certain mindset too, because that's something that, like he said, it don't happen through osmosis. You don't get that mindset. You got to, a lot of times you got to be raised up in that. You have to have rearing, that you're seeing that and you're witnessing that, and you have the elders who are speaking wisdom to you and not trash and social media and crap like that.
I think, Payne, you said it earlier, and I want to emphasize it, that you had to kind of take a break, and kind of, both you and King mentioned it, taking a break and learning and just learning yourself and learning what your standards are and what you're about to set. I say that because one thing I tell all my friends, guys and girls, newness is exhilarating, but it's not always long lasting. And what I mean by that is that when you find a new, I used to call, for my women, I would say, that's just new D. And for my men, I just say, that's just new P. It's always exciting. It's all just the fact of it being new is exhilarating. Not to mention, if they do different things that you've never experienced before, it's exhilarating. But when you get over that factor, you're now faced with who the person is. So to take that time out is what I was getting at. It allows you the opportunity to learn what you like before you go into the newness, because you'll enjoy that. But if you don't know who you get with, that can be a facade.
Right. I'm going to get to some of these comments, and then we're going to move on to the last video. So God Happened to Me says complacency is a dangerous place to be, yet believing that you don't have options is an even more dangerous place to be. We all have options, whether they are good or bad, it's up for debate. They actually spoke about that in Pastor Jamal Bryant spoke about that in the video, saying that one of our biggest enemies is, that we have options, especially today in today's society of, you know, social media. And I think Boosie said it at one point too. He goes, you mad at your girl back in the day, you just seeing her, you may see somebody at work, but then you going, you away from your girl all day, you going back to your girl. Now you mad at your girl, you can go on social media and see 100 more girls. And that's what's now occupying your mind instead of, fixing it with your girl or coming to a resolve. Jennifer says, then why get married at all if you have to practice? That's like saying, why go to, why show up at the championship if you didn't practice? Why, play the game if you didn't practice? I think mostly everything that we do in life requires practice. We had to practice to walk. We had to practice to eat. We had to practice to talk. Mostly everything that we do in life starts with practice. And then once you get good at practice, it does become second nature. It does become a discipline and a philosophy that you have that, hey, look, I'm not going to do this because I haven't been doing this.
I love the way women talk from the perspective of that they always get it right. I love the way they talk from the perspective that when they get into a relationship, they the ones who got it all figured out. Their way's the right way. They don't slip up. They don't do nothing. You gotta practice. You gotta practice how to cook. You gotta practice how to cook for your man, don't you?
Sure
you gotta learn what type of meal he like, right? Then you have to practice how to drive. Then you have to do your hair a certain amount of times before you learn how to do it. Right? Stop looking at everything from the perspective of that somebody's trying to do you wrong. Sometimes people just people, and sometimes we all is finding our way.
Yeah.
Ricky, you touched on something just now. You touched on something. Ooh, wow, man.
Some of these people need to practice what they preach.
The fact.
Ooh, that, you're making me process something that you just said, Precious. You said most things we have to practice. I'm trying to think of what things we don't have to practice.
Monogamy.
Breathing is not something you practice. You just do it until you take your last breath. But then most things you do have to practice.
Well, think about it. Breathing. Let's use breathing. To go underwater, you have to practice how to hold your breath.
No, you don't.
Right. I mean, that's
not a practice.
I mean, it's just, to me, that's a technique of swimming. I just think certain things we do have to practice. I don't have to practice breathing unless I'm doing it for a certain exercise or, trying to, calm down. So in certain situations, yes, but I don't think about breathing at, like right now, I'm not thinking about breathing. I'm just doing it.
You don't think about breathing because you've been doing it all your life. Right? To use the example the brother was using as far as holding your breath. The more you swim, the longer you hold your breath, the more healthy you get. The more practice you do it, the better you'll get at it. Right? Everything requires practice. Everything requires an action for you to learn that habit. And the longer you do it, the better you get at it. So again, to go back to express what the brother said in the video, he said, I had met my first try at monogamy was when I got married. He hadn't tried it. He hadn't practiced it. He was out there in the world moving and shaking. I don't see what the argument is on this one. He's not saying he was right or wrong. He was simply stating what was. And sometimes people, it's just what it is. Ain't nobody trying to attack your point or make a point. Sometimes it's just what it is.
Maybe. Maybe. I just don't get how that's a practice. I thought it was just an action.
Well, you do. I mean, if you're swimming, then you do have to practice the breathing
Right.
technique.
But yeah, but you don't have to practice pointing your finger. You know what I'm saying? You have to practice seeing. You just do it. It's an
I
action.
mean,
But if you close your eyes, you don't see anymore. But you're not practicing opening and closing your eyes. It's not something you practice as a kid. It's just a simple action. Like, for example, you can decide not to swim to the top to the top and catch your breath. You can choose to stay at the bottom and drown. That's an action. It's a choice. That choice led to an action, and
So
that's what you did.
you mentioned pointing and like blinking the eyes and things like that. As a child, you don't know, and this is why the Bible says that we need to go back to being childlike, and it doesn't mean childish. It means childlike, right? So when you were a child, you didn't realize that you were practicing those things. When you were taking your first steps, you didn't realize that you were practicing it. So as adults, we think we know everything and don't think that we have to practice things, and we do. We absolutely do.
Okay, so
Because we think we know things. So that's why, again, biblically, you go back to childlike behaviors. A lot of people, don't know how to be happy, honestly. They're miserable. They want to talk about people all the time. They ain't got nothing good to say. Those people need to practice good verbiage. Those people need to practice having good conversations, being around people that they can actually have successful and positive conversations. Because if not, they're going to continue to be miserable. They're going to continue to spew, hateful things. And so they have to practice not to be in that emotional state. So I think sometimes we get so caught up in, being of a certain age and, thinking that the little minute things that we do, that we didn't have to, practice them. And as a child, we did have to, practice breathing. We had to practice that. But as an adult, we feel as though we don't have to practice it. But when Sean brought up the swimming example, he's right. You do have to practice those things. I had to practice that when swimming. I mean, somebody just threw me in the 8 feet, but I had to practice what to do in order to survive,
you had to practice your strokes.
Right. So
The
it
breathing
does make
techniques.
sense.
Well, here's my thing. When it comes to it, I don't think the action or inaction, however you want to describe it, of monogamy is a practice. So would you agree that the mindset is more so where you get your practice in? Because the mindset has to come first. That's what leads to you not acting on temptation. Because the mindset is something that a person who's used to promiscuous sex would have to practice first.
Yeah, at this point, I think we're debating semantics because, as you said, discipline is what it takes to be able to be monogamous, and we practice discipline. And we could sit here and we're stuck on the word practice, but it really doesn't matter. You have to, in order to do it, you have to make a choice. In order to make that choice, you have to implement an intention. And so, however we want to look at it, it's not something that is not being done without intention.
Because, marriage is, to me, a sacrifice, right? When I get married, I know that there are going to be things that I like that I'm going to have to sacrifice. There's a possibility that there's going to be those sacrifices, right? So I'm going to have to practice sacrificing the things that I like. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be like, oh, okay. It's gonna take a little practice until that pain, the pain of it being gone is just gone, or the pain of me not doing it, or whatever, engaging in it, whatever it is. It's gonna take practice not doing what I'm usually used to doing, and that goes for anyone when you're joining into, when you're joining with someone. Go ahead, RP.
Let me ask you a question, because when I hear people say you have to sacrifice a marriage, can you name 5 things that marriage would stop you from doing?
I don't think it'll. So when you get married, you're in essence, seeing a mirror of yourself, right? So I don't think it's going to stop you from doing anything per se, but sometimes I can procrastinate.
Okay.
Right. So if I procrastinate on something, somebody that's with me that's going to challenge me and say, "Hey, no, you need to get it done right now. Don't procrastinate. Don't do that." So then I have to learn, "Hey, look, my anxiety or whatever is causing me to procrastinate, I can't do that anymore."
No, I hear you. I shouldn't have put you on the spot that way because procrastination. If your significant other helps you with that, yeah, I don't think you sacrificed anything. You just got better.
Well, I'm
You know, so
sacrificing being in my own ways. And so when I say sacrifice, I don't mean like, I just mean that we get in our own ways. And so when someone is put in front of us, it those ways are magnified and they're not, like we said earlier, in the tuck, So now I have to sacrifice being selfish and saying, okay, I'm working with somebody else. I can no longer just do what I want to do in my time.
I hear you, and I'm not really arguing with you. I just think sacrifice means something different to different people. Some people think sacrifice in a real sacrifice, like they're giving up something that's good for something that's better. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And so I think, some of the things that people think are good is not, for the most part, I think the biggest sacrifice I think people really have is that they can't get smashed by somebody else, right? That's what most men will say, that's my sacrifice, that I can't smash anybody I want. I think women are starting to say that too, based on what more that we know about ladies. And I'm not saying you, I'm just
No, but I was
saying,
gonna say that's what happens when you don't practice monogamy, though, because you feel like you have this entitled, mindset that you have to be out here in these streets.
okay, so let me put it to you so we can drop the thing. I think when people get married, the list of what they think they're sacrificing shouldn't be too long.
Mhm.
If it's a long ass list, don't get married. And
Mhm.
maybe that's what I'm saying. If you're
Gotcha.
saying, "Oh shit, look at all that stuff," not you, but when a
Is 5 a
person
long
saying,
list?
"So what?"
Is 5 a long list?
I think so. I think so. I mean, maybe I'm just like crazy. This is me. I'm trying to think of what I really gave up to marry my wife. And I'm not trying to put her on a pedestal or put me down. I'm just thinking my life was pretty good. I mean, I was an engineer. I'm young. I'm doing this stuff, making some money, got a path forward. I'm trying to think what did I really sacrifice for being married? And I can't really, I can't really.
I told you didn't have no goddamn options, so you didn't
No.
sacrifice.
I had
A
a
man like
few options. I had
a
a few
man like
options, man.
myself,
I had
Pain.
a few. I wasn't like a player like you, Hank, but I had a few options, man.
Oh,
Go ahead.
No,
But
seriously.
you see what I'm saying, Precious? So it's
Yeah.
not like getting on your case, but I'm just saying, I'm just trying to think back, and I wouldn't have thought about that until I got on these YouTube panels when people start talking like that. It's like, what did I really give up? I can't really.
Well,
figure it
one
out.
of the things a lot of men don't realize that you can't think
You
as an individual no more. That's one thing you can't
Hey,
do
what?
anymore. You can't think individualistic.
all right.
You
Okay.
can't move like that no more.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's
That
the
part
biggest
true.
sacrifice.
And it looks like that to you are paying because your gamble worked out, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
You
they
vetted
said
correctly.
true.
You see what I'm
That's
saying? So
yeah.
that goes back to being very, very selective and careful about who you choose to spend the rest of your life with.
Yeah. Very
And
true.
okay, you got to realize, especially on this panel, you are an anomaly. What's that word? Help me,
Phenomenally.
Precious. There you go.
Anomaly is the word.
Yeah, that you are.
Been married for 23 years with my
There
baby
you
for
go.
with
Hey,
my baby
Cal.
for 27.
Well, you
Come
know
on
what,
now.
Glenn?
There ain't no anomalies. It's just good choosing, being smart. She was
Well,
smart and I was smart.
brothers, I commend both of you, quite frankly. And you didn't, to your point, Payne, you didn't really make a sacrifice. You made a choice, and that choice was it paid off well for both of you.
Yeah, I guess
And
look at it that way.
yeah, and I'm glad that you both were able to, especially before this day and age, right now,
But let me tell you this, I can bring my wife in. She might have a list of 20 things. Who knows? She might say,
okay, I gave up this, I gave up this, I gave up this.
So,
Oh man,
I can't speak for her, shoot.
Yeah, I mean, but it does the sacrifice that you just mentioned, somebody just mentioned, is really the biggest sacrifice, is being able to do what you want, how you want, when you want. But to your point, it could be a lot better. Two brains work better than one, but a lot of people don't embrace that concept. A lot of people don't understand that concept because they only trust themselves. And what your marriage, the success of your marriage had to involve was a lot of trust between you and your mates. And that's really a very critical testimony to your success. And unfortunately, right now, there's so many people who just don't trust. And for good reasons. I can't even argue. For good reasons. I run around a lot of women who I feel are great women, but the problem is they can't trust enough to take leadership. They can't trust enough to identify and recognize someone who's not trying to harm them or who's trying to protect them. And so they're guarded so much. And I would say men as well were guarded so much because of the climate that's out there right now. It's like the climate is cold and we all just got on jackets and coats and we ain't trying the sun come out. We still like this. Like, nah, I ain't taking this off. It's going to get cold again. So it's an unfortunate reality. And I commend and I might even journey to say envy relationships and marriages specifically that have had the success that you and your wife have had. So salute.
No, thank you. Yeah. That's a good point you're making up.
Mhm. Plus, you were ready too. There's like we were talking about mindset. You said you were an engineer. You took some time off. You did the things necessary in order for a woman to actually be able to receive you. So it doesn't even seem like you sacrificed a lot because you had already put yourself in the track to what you wanted, and you got what you wanted. And a lot of there's some men that, like Pastor Jamal Bryant was saying, hey, me getting married was the first time I even thought about being monogamous. Okay, I was out here in these streets. All right, when I said I do, I didn't change that mindset. And I think that that's a huge thing that men don't feel like they have to practice that. It's just like, oh well, I love her. When we get married, we'll be all right. And I think men struggle with that within marriages because now it's like, oh, I got that itch, or oh, I'm bored, or oh. And it's not to say that you don't love the woman that you're with. You just haven't rid yourself of those urges and those desires that you had prior to being with her, and maybe during the stage while y'all were dating. And then you got engaged to her thinking that you were doing the right thing. Everybody's pressuring you to get married when you're going to have some kids. And you really didn't think it through about the selfish desires that you had when you joined with somebody to become one. Because now you're not, now she got to be one with your incompleteness because you want to, you're not ridding yourself of that. So I think that's where we as people, men and women, got to be honest with ourselves. It's like, I like running the streets. Should I really get married, or am I trying to, make my family happy? Am I trying to do something before a certain age and rushing the plan that God actually has for your life? All right. So
let's just say this. I don't want to miss this. King and R. Payne said it earlier. One thing that you did in your isolation, and I want to be specific about it, you took time to heal. And a lot of people don't take that time to heal. And that's why you're able to be a little bit more definitive on what you want and setting those standards, is because you took the time to heal, which a lot of people, unfortunately, that's where the dilemma comes in. They don't heal. They just jump in.
Yeah. And then I forget who said it earlier. I think Hank said it earlier. Some people just don't know they got a problem, right? They going in like, oh, we all hunky dory. Let's get married. Meet me at the altar in your white dress. You know, and then boom, at the oh, they changed. She changed. He changed. Just like, no, that didn't happen. All right, so we're gonna move on to this last video. Again, same show, Hardly Initiated. Shout out to them. Thank you guys for great content. But he talks about, where do men learn closure? In the beginning of the video, he's actually going to be talking about men setting a standard. So we're going to play that and then get you guys' perspective. Thank you guys in the chat. Thank you guys for liking the video. If you have not already, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone. Thank you guys so much.
And we don't want to be held accountable to the standard we set. And so whether it is for gentlemen who are out here, if for 4 days you sending good morning text, you got to send that good morning text the 5th day. If whatever is the standard you set, that's what it is that you got to meet. If it is you all talk every night, then you go missing 2 nights and think they're not going to respond to that standard, then we got to hold ourselves accountable. Now, if it is erratic behavior that can happen, then we got to trace back. Hey, what in the world is happening? And look in the mirror. Do I have episodes when I'm not myself? How do I deal with depression? Because I don't want to tell her I'm not myself because my mom is sick. I don't want to tell her, hey, I'm stressed out because my boy is getting ready to lose his relationship, but I know he cheating. But I know in spite of the fact that he cheating, he loved the one he getting ready to lose. I don't know how to have a conversation with her without it falling back on me. Because immediately is, oh, that's what y'all do?
Yeah, right. 100%.
Yeah.
Before we get any further in the video, what do you guys think about that? That some men do not like to adhere to the standards that they set. So like he said, y'all could be texting 2, 3, 4 days in a row, and then the guy just stops and the woman's like, okay, we ain't texting no more. Like that behavior or that pattern stops. Does the man hold himself accountable for not continuing on with the standard that he set, or does he just think it's like, oh, I'll just get to her when I get to her? Or is there a reason why there may be a break in that communication or routine of things?
Well, if I may, he's absolutely right. He's right, but we don't want to hold ourselves accountable when it comes to that, and we do have to stick to the standard that we start. He's right. If you send a good morning text and you do it twice in a row, you're gonna have to keep doing that. And any kind of good habits that you start like that, just to get her, if it's just to get her attention and you're not gonna keep it up, don't start it, because she's gonna be expecting that. And any deviation from that, she's gonna wonder what's wrong, and you're gonna have that conversation. You better have a good explanation, because if it's just, oh, I forgot, or I didn't feel like it, yeah. Her interest level in you just went, yeah.
Especially if you know you always got your phone. You always got your phone, and it's like,
right.
Oh, we got his phone. Super C, I want to address this, or I want you guys to address it. That's when it becomes a job instead of a relationship.
No, I was going to say, Super C, please come up. Please cam up.
Yeah, please. The thing is, that's not a job. Those are just good habits to develop in a relationship. If you know those are things that she likes, I think it's a good idea to make doing the things that she like, make those a habit. You know what I'm saying? As long as they're habits you can afford and you can keep doing, yes, you should make those things that she likes you doing habits. I mean, that's how you keep a woman. Well, there's one way. And keep her interest. And if there's a deviation, she asks you about it, have an explanation. You can't just be the type, I'll get to it later. No, make that woman a priority, because that's the way she wants to feel. She wants to feel like she's a priority in your life. And it is your responsibility and your duty to make her feel that way. Especially if it's a woman you're dating and you take it seriously. I mean, if it's just a jump off, well, you know what that is. But if it's a woman to be taken seriously, yeah, you got to do that, fellas. And a lot of people, from my observation, a lot of guys don't hold themselves to the same standard as they set on other people or the rest of the world. Everything is everyone else's fault except theirs. But that's why people look at me sideways and like, hey, I messed up. I made a mistake. This is what happened. This is how it happened. Blah, blah, blah. I apologize. And I get this look. Huh? I apologize. Oh, thank you. They're surprised when the guy holds himself to his own standards. They're surprised when the guy takes accountability. The shame of it is that that's the shock. That's the surprise. And it's just, we've set a dangerous precedent, and for this to be in the landscape of modern dating. But make no mistake, fellas, I might get some pushback here, but this is where our leadership brought us as a collective, where women are expecting bullshit as opposed to chivalry and masculinity.
And Drill, what we're seeing, or I didn't say what we're seeing, what I saw when I came out of my 14-year marriage and got divorced, I came into the dating market in the age of the cell phone and dating apps, where the illusion of choice was a lot higher. So I can raise my hand and say I was the guy that was trying to compete for the attention. And even though I didn't know it, I was trying to compete for the attention because I kind of had an idea without really knowing that I'm not the only one that's in this person's orbit trying to vie for their attention. Now, what would happen, and what I realized after the fact, was that, okay, let's say I was chief among that lady's, choice and options. Then when I didn't necessarily pull back. Well, yeah, no, don't bullshit. Yes, I did pull back because I'm normally not the one that was reaching out as often as I was. I was doing it to try to be that person's, top option, try to compete with all of the other people that was sitting there in that person's orbit. How do we differentiate trying to be that person's top option versus it seeming like, all right, well, if this person didn't reach out to me enough times, but I got Joe Blow over here that's hitting up my line and I am interested in that person, I'm going to go with that person versus the guy that just doesn't seem like he doesn't care.
Okay, well, here's the thing that you do. If you reach out to a woman, you express interest, and she says no, okay, consider yourself rejected. Let the matter go. If you can be platonic, if you can be platonic with that person or cordial with that person, be that, just and keep it there, period. And do not approach that woman romantically under any circumstances, period. Now she has to approach you if that's what she's interested in, because she just told you she's not interested. So don't press the issue any further. Once you hear no, the answer is no. Let it go. Now, as far as trying to be the guy that she's interested in, no, you shouldn't put any effort into that whatsoever. Period. Under no circumstances. You either are what she's into or you are not. Be you, because now you're stepping into a realm where you're going to start doing things that aren't you, being a person that's not you. Do not ever do that. Don't compromise who you are for anyone. Not your mama, not your sister, not no one. You be who you are and see who's left standing. You don't change yourself to attract other people. So either some people are gonna love you, some people are gonna hate you. The people who love you, that's your circle. Until you start eliminating some of them because they ain't worth nothing to you or anybody else. You know what I'm saying? So the people who ain't with you, fuck them. What do they matter? They're not in your life anyway.
Put yourself in a friend zone? Is that what you're saying?
No, if she's not interested, she's just not interested. I accept that. Cool.
But why would you put a woman in a friend zone? Why would you let her put you in a friend zone?
I ain't putting them. What do you mean putting her in the friend zone? It's over. There's no friend zone to be here. It's just like
You said be cordial with her, be friends with
Yeah,
her.
be cordial. Don't be an asshole.
Yeah, but
You
look,
see her, speak to her. If y'all have a conversation, have a conversation. But there's no longer anything romantic between the two of you. Leave that out of there. Now, if she expresses romantic interest in you, and if she expresses romantic interest in me, and I'm single, if I'm interested now, then yeah, let's explore that. Let's go out on a date. Let's hang out, spend time together, see if we click. See if there's chemistry.
You cool with being option C?
so
There's no such thing. No. There's no such thing as option C, option B. You know what I'm saying?
Man, Drill, let a man who had options talk. I got you, brother.
I said if that's what you wanted to do, and that's how are you option C if you're the one she chose out of all the rest of the knuckleheads? Because here's the thing: if you're gonna bring up this point, like, yeah, but she tried this, that, and the other, and it didn't work, and then she came back to you. You should have been doing the same thing while she was doing that. Okay, so if dating is what you're doing, you ain't out dating people. You know what I'm saying? Then you're the one slipping. Your social skills are gonna slip. Your game gonna slip. The whole 9 yards. Why aren't you putting in work?
Man,
if you ain't putting in work, you're not dating and meeting people and working on your social skills. You have no room to complain. It's your fault now while you're single because you did nothing to change your circumstances. Now that's how you get options, fellas.
Okay.
She get options. You a third and fourth player. You a damn restaurant dude.
If you choose to be that, Pink, and like I said, if you choose to explore that, go ahead. Now you, as a man of pride, I'm a man of pride too, and we both raised old school, just like Sean. We ain't gonna take that. You turn me down. Fair enough.
Man, Drill, you sound like you was okay with that.
I'm just letting the guys know. I'm just letting the guys be aware of the choices that they can make. Now you're doing the right thing here, saying, okay, now if she turns you down, then she comes back and want to express interest, fellas. Nah, that ain't the thing. And I agree with you, Hank. I just let the boys know. Listen, that's what you want to do. You go right ahead, but you do not ever approach her again once she rejects you. You do not make that step. Let her do that. And if that is something you choose to do,
I'm not.
I don't hate on nobody. Live how you want to live.
Man, Drill, why would you even accept her proposal to her?
I wouldn't.
She turned you down the first time.
Exactly.
Why would you give her the second opportunity?
I wouldn't. But
again, that's why I sit there and say you playing C. Because there was two of the hard ankles that she wanted before you. It just didn't work out.
I didn't say I would do it.
Came to the basement and got with Hank, and I would have gave you all the goddamn game you needed. This is some bullshit, man, Jarrell.
Oh, really? Damn. So just letting the guys know that, hey, if that's what you wanted. My point was, Hank. No, but you missed the whole point. The point and the big picture of that was that if you approach a woman, you express interest, she turns you down. You don't make another move towards her romantically ever. If there's anything to be between you two, you let her come to you, but you don't ever come to her. She turned you down.
Look,
that is what it is. Leave it there.
I'm gonna say it again. She don't have another option with me.
Okay,
there's
there
no
you go.
second chance with me. There is none. What did my man Apollo Creed said? Told Rocky, there is no
tomorrow.
You're done. You're done. So look here. If that's the case, I'm gonna tell you what I'm going to do. I'm gonna get with a goddamn best friend. I'm gonna send a goddamn message. That's what I'm gonna do. So
if your girl start acting up,
come talk to me.
Bring it up.
Come here, sit on the couch. Let Uncle King tell you a story, and this is how you move, young king. And I will break it down to him to the simplest form. You don't know. No. She did what to you, young king? Oh no, you don't need to go back to her. To hell with her. Let me tell you this: get somebody close in her circle and let them see and let them reap the benefits and watch her look with jealous eyes. I bet she's gonna want to come throw her thing. Look, we ain't never get in a relationship, but I don't mind giving you 20 goddamn minutes. I'll give you that. But you're not gonna get in a relationship with me. Why? Because you had your opportunity. You missed out. I'm not giving you no second chance in a relationship with me. Again, 20 minutes, you can get that. Other than that, that's all you're getting. I'm going to move on to the next. And I'm going to bless her. She going to get my attention, my time, my money, and my energy. But I'm not going to fool with her no more. I'm not going to play second, third fiddle, because that's exactly what you're telling the man to do. Man, just sit back, let her come back to you.
No, I said if there's anything to be done between y'all two.
I got you. Let me finish. You wanted to come back 2 baby daddies later.
No,
and
I
try
do
to
not.
crawl in the
No, bro.
You know, I need some place to lay my head. My Section 8 is run out. I need some place to take care of me. Man,
Hey, you know my policy on that. One, I can work something out. One, I can work something out. 2,
you're sick, you're main, you're hurt, you're shut in. I'll take them all.
You got your goddamn mind. No, goddamn, Hank.
All right, we're
Listen,
gonna keep
I do
going.
have standards, brother. You know that.
We're gonna keep going
I do
with
have
the
some
video.
self-respect, Hank.
No. So that's
Yeah, RP.
yeah. All
You good?
I want to say is, listen, the real point of what this guy's making. The text was just an example. Whatever you did to lure or entice your woman to be yours, you got to remember that once you catch her, at least most of it, and you got to continue to know where those buttons are that you need to press. And I think that's what a lot of men stop doing. They stop doing a lot. This is one of the things men are guilty of. Probably guilty of a lot of other things. But whatever turned your wife on, whatever attracted her to you, and stuff like that, you got to remember what those things are, and you can add to it. But you don't want to take away from your bare minimum that you already knew. You know what? So that's one of the things I know with my wife. I still know where her buttons are. So you exercise them every so often. So that's just what I want to say.
I have a question to that, Payne. Do you only remember, or does she remind you at times?
You don't have to remind me. You don't have to. I remember. You don't have to remind me.
Okay. I'm
Do
just
you
asking.
remember?
There was a couple of things. Super C said it becomes a job. Super C, relationship. That's why I asked you to cam up. A relationship is a job. It's work. So if you don't expect that or don't understand that, then you don't want a relationship. Because with all relationships, it takes work, and the work is both of you guys working. It doesn't stop. And Payne, you could correct me if I'm wrong, because you've been in the longest relationship out of all of us. So I think that it doesn't now. Of course, it becomes a little bit less effort and energy when you are practicing. Anything that you practice becomes a lot easier as time goes on, because it becomes a little bit more natural. But I think that relationships are work. It's not something that isn't it? Help me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, there's work to it, but let's put it this way: there's work that you like to do, and then there's work that's drudgery. You know what I'm saying? It can also be work. So some people like their job. Let's put it that way. Some people like their job. So my marriage, I like being married. So and my wife, I can't speak for her, but she at least gives me the illusion that she likes it too. Let's put it that way, right? So she gives me what I need from her, and I give her what I think she needs from me. And if we get off track, we talk about certain things, but we don't really get that deep. So I just sit back, and I don't like to talk about this in these spaces because everybody keeps telling me I don't know if you guys know Trey. Trey thinks I might as well just shut up because I don't know nothing. My man, I don't know if anybody had any deals with Trey. He said, listen, man, you've been married for a long time, so you shouldn't even talk about relationships. Because the new woman is different than the old woman. I disagree with him. I just think women have been unleashed. So as far as I'm concerned, my marriage is a pleasant job. But there's some rocky work roads. And even when people ask me about that, I feel stupid talking about some of our biggest arguments because they weren't really that big of a deal. I'm telling you. So I don't know whether my woman was that perfect or I'm just that easy. You know what I'm saying? In terms of, I weigh things, right? So is the faults in my woman big enough for me to to sacrifice our marriage, and we don't even come close, and then vice versa. It's just, nobody's perfect, so I can take that. I'm not perfect. She takes that, and we just keep moving.
Well, that's great.
So like I said, in these spaces, I'm most kind of reticent to even talk about it because it sounds like one that I'm making shit up, and I'm
No,
not.
I think we need that perspective, because you have gone through the journey, and a lot of people do need to see that it don't have to be, this trauma filled, dreadful ordeal. It can be pleasant. You can like your job. You can be in love with your wife. So, I appreciate that perspective. So you don't have to worry about that
I'm
coming on
hoping
this
more
one.
people find that.
Right.
That's why I'm on these things. I would like some more people to find it, but they gotta let go of all this shit that they keep hearing
Mm-hmm.
and adhering to. Especially if you vet your wife properly. So that's
Right.
what I'm at.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have just now had Super C into the building. Salute, Super C. What's up?
How's it going, everybody?
Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you? And what would you like to add to the conversation before we move on?
I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all move on real quick. But most definitely can ask me any kind of question before moving on if you like.
Yeah, I think
I remember Super C. Are you drive the truck, right?
Yeah, I'm a truck driver. The one
I think you've been on here before.
Yeah, I've been on here before. I'm the one that's talking about coming over there and dunk on you a couple of times. That's still gonna happen.
Oh, that's you?
That's still gonna
happen. Let's move on. Let's
all right, let's
move
on.
So you have to really do your own diagnostic on what were the feeders, what were the contributors that led to that place. And Shakespeare said, to thine own self be true. What role did I play? How did we get here? It wasn't always like this, but there had to have been something that built up to it. Milk is healthy. It's absolutely healthy. It's good for your bones. It makes you grow, makes you strong until the expiration date. Then it makes you sick. Then it smells up your house. We don't understand a lot of times as men that some relationships are like milk. They're healthy for a season, but milk you cannot just throw in the trash can because it's going to stink up the whole house. You got to pour it out. And so you have to know, it's amazing. All of us from 3 different places, 3 different walks of life, all of us has got friends, big brothers, cousins, who taught us how to holler at a girl, taught us how to get a number, taught us how to pull up, taught us how to use your friend as the wingman. Nobody, and I don't know y'all, in no barbershop, in no locker room, no basketball court, has any man ever taught you how to get closure. We always learn how to get in. Nobody ever told us how to get out with distinction and with class and with integrity. And we got to learn, how do we as grown men get to the place? Think about it. Whatever conversations that you've had, is the woman who had to say to you, it ain't working. We ain't going to do it. And they drive us crazy. We know it ain't right. Going over there, it make my heart beat. Before I answer the phone, I got to take a deep breath. Right. Like, what is it now? Because nobody ever taught us how to do closure and how to exit without kicking over the whole table.
In fact, I think.
And the guy, what he was going to say, you're usually taught the opposite. You're taught to get another woman. So what do you guys think about that? About not being taught closure, and how guys will stay, or maybe they'll taper off, or they'll keep the door cracked, and not really say, hey, you know what? This isn't working. Let's just stop this. There's no connection here. Let's move forward, or I'm going to move forward and, you move forward. What are you guys thinking about that? Have you ever been taught closure?
This ain't rocket science. Like, just leave. Damn. If it ain't working,
That's easy to say, but a lot of men don't just leave. They will text you, or they will leave the door open as long as you're responding to them, instead of them saying, you know what, I don't want anything serious. I'd rather, this is what I want. I'd rather just go on dates, take you out every now and again. They won't just say that. And we've spoken about this before. They won't just come out and say exactly what they want, but they'll leave the door open for you to say. Like he said, most women will say, oh, this ain't working, or there's something's not right here. A man won't necessarily say those things. Even in a marriage, he won't necessarily say that he's unhappy.
Well, we just witnessed that with my buddy Mandrell. Said he's gonna leave the door open for that woman to come back and try to see if the tread is still good on them tires.
Now you're taking what I said.
That's what you said.
Somewhere else. You're taking the meaning of what I said somewhere else, Hank. Not at all what I meant. You know it. Not at all what I meant.
I just said second time around.
No. He's breaking my balls because like he and I are just alike when it comes to that. Hey, you said no. Okay, cool. No problem. Just ain't gonna happen again.
But so Super C says is easy, just leave. So obviously he has the mental fortitude and the willpower to, Pastor Jamal Bryant said, a lot of men don't leave with that dignity. They don't leave with that integrity. They'll continue to just lead you on, or not even lead you on, because I think that women have a responsibility to be able to know what's going on as well. It's not like he's just forcing you to do these things, but we're talking about the men and not necessarily learning closure. You're learning how to get girls. You're learning, somebody spoke about it earlier, how many girls you got, and you're hearing that from men and women, but you're not hearing how many girls did you turn away because you're not serious and you just want to be a player in these streets.
Well, and it depends on the situation. I mean, I know my man Super C said you just leave. Well, some situations you just can't leave. You got kids in a relationship. It's hard. You don't want to just leave your kids there. You don't want to just feel like you're abandoning your kids, or have your kids feel like you're abandoning them, because that could be the case. If you're in a marriage, it's hard to just walk away from a marriage, especially if you had some, say, Lord forbid, our Payne ever decide he won't go out there and exercise some options he's never had when he was 25, and he decided to go and get some stray, and she said, I'm done, I'm leaving. But she may realize it's kind of hard to just leave. I got a lot of time invested in this old bald head motherfucker here, and I can't just leave. It's gonna be hard because of all the time and investment that she has in him. So, I understand if you early in a relationship, okay, yeah, you probably could just get up and walk out and leave. Or maybe if y'all just dating, you probably can just walk out and leave. No kids tied, no nothing like that, no real estate, no income, or there's cross reference, no financial ties to each other. Yeah, you probably can. But some situations we know you just can't walk away.
I mean, I hear you on that, but that's more like some what if type situation. So he didn't really say anything about kids, but I agree with you on that. If kids are involved, I mean, if you got into deep and you done knocked up, then yeah, you ain't finna just be walking away. Yeah. I get that part, but you had to have known that this woman got the game messed up, so I wouldn't even let it escalate to that point.
Well,
then I just I'm out. And then at the beginning, dude was like, what are guys taught to get a woman, right? Now, I've been around some old school guys and stuff like that. I'm 38 years old. So this one guy, well, not just this one guy, there's a few guys, they came up on me. He was like, hey, man. And this before I, got myself financially set and everything like that. But anyway, he was like, listen, bro, you can't get a female if you broke. The best way to get to her heart, you got to get into that wallet. You got to always spend. I'm like, that sounds dumb. I'm not finna be doing no crazy stuff like that. I ain't never in my life hooked up with a female because of my bank account or whatever, things of that nature. I didn't roll like that. A lot of guys be teaching these guys to be jacked up. So when you start doing that, well, just like what they said before, they're gonna always expect that. And then when you don't be putting out money, when you stop, you get labeled, oh, you broke. What's wrong with you? You weak. Blah, 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 blah. No matter if you got a strategic mindset about it, she don't care about that shit. Keep doing what you did from the beginning. I had this conversation with Smith and his brother before. I was like, hey, and they know how that works. You can't just, you try to get in between the legs and you're going to do whatever it takes to get it. And once you go up in there and then you stop, and now she raising the eyebrow like, well, you always rub my back. Don't even touch it.
I think part of I'm sorry to interrupt you, see, but there's a couple of things I want to touch on that you said. One, I'm going to jump into the assumption you being a truck driver, it makes it a little bit easier. That's a little unfair because you can go place to place and you're used to that right now. Just jump in, yo, you know what, I'm out. You know how I got blow in every area code. Well, you know, that's kind of the life. Is my assumption, but that's neither here nor there. But what I was going to say is that thing that you just mentioned, the last part, as far as we just doing anything to get in the panties, that's the immature lifestyle that I think a lot of us men need to start addressing with other men. Stop being that way. Stop just doing it because you're making it more difficult for anybody who really wants to have a relationship, one. And two, be more upfront. Yo, you ain't gotta sit there and play games. Just say you want the cat and allow her the option to give you the cat. Stop being manipulative. Stop being scheming on cat. And now I'm not saying you specifically, but I'm saying we got to address men when they're in that space. Young men, old men, it don't matter what their age is, we got to address it. Stop doing that. Just be straightforward. Stop lying to get your cat. Stop lying, just get your way. That means that you're basically a spoiled brat. And as one of my people, Mr. Letgo would say, women are children. Well, men are children too. If you're going to do all that, that's childlike. Stop being a child.
I fully agree with that part right there as well. There's a lot of guys, man, and they like the higher percentage of that. They go up here and they just create these little stories. They call it spitting game. I'm like, man, just be direct, be straight up.
So where do men learn closure, or do they learn closure?
They're not gonna learn it because when you try to tell them, no, man, I can't. All right, whatever. But what I don't like is, I know somebody. They'll come up to me and keep jawing. I'm like, man, shut the fuck up. I done told you what you need to do. Ain't no point in you keep bickering and complaining and bitching. I mean, it's like me swatting at a wasp's nest. They're going to keep stinging my ass every time. Just stop. Let it go. You risking your blood pressure. You getting high blood pressure. You putting yourself in a hospital. Let it go.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Easier said than done often. Another thing is that when you are, it depends on what you value. A lot of times when I challenge relationships of people that I do consultation or give advice to, is go back to the space and place where you like that person. What did you like about them? And what has changed about that now? Is that impossible to rekindle, or is that a choice that you don't want to rekindle it because you're holding on to hurt, because you're holding on to resentment, because you're holding on to bitterness, whatever the case may be? And often it's a lot of holding on to hurt, pain, and bitterness that doesn't allow them to release, to be able to remember what it was that initially got them to the place of where they're in love, or where they got married, or where they had children, or where they even consummated a relationship. And I would say, in addition to that, that's why I was pushing back on, we got to stop the games with each other. As my man Super C said, we got to stop gaming, playing games with each other. Stop it, because really you're just being, you're being. I don't know how a person can say they got loyalty, can say they have all of these different characteristics that they pride themselves in one circumstance with their bros and things of that nature, but then they don't even apply it to the relationship with the person that they're laying next to every day. I just don't understand that. It doesn't make sense to me. Why do men do it? Why do we play this game? Is the cat that good?
It's not so much that the cat that good, is more like discovery. Like well, I'm not saying that I'm doing it. I'm just throwing this out there like an example. Still bad walking around, whatever. You're still walking around, and you're gonna play what's in your deck. You're gonna start doing crazy stuff out of curiosity.
That's called lack of discipline, lack of order. And that's what we sit there and we always get on women about what they don't have when we aren't displaying it ourselves.
Thank you. Thank you, Sean. What it boils down to, let me put it blunt. You guys are just fucking weak. That's what it is. It's weakness. It really is. Like, I mean, I just never understood that whole thing. Like I tried to describe it earlier. I just never understood a dude who had to have more than. It's enough of a job. I got too much shit to do. I always have my whole life, and it's enough to entertain one woman, get to know her, take her on dates, spend time with her, the whole 9 yards. I got other things I like to do in life, like make money, have hobbies, all this other shit. So, why a dude wants to go work a job? Let's say he makes decent money, okay? Then you got a girlfriend and you got one or two other chicks on the side. So now you got to take your woman out. You got to spend a lot of time with her. You got to lie constantly to her to hide the other two chicks. Now you got to take these other two chicks out or spend time with her some way. Either way, you're spending money on it. You're not lying to me. You're spending money on these other two chicks, dudes. Okay. Now you're broke. All that money you could have been saving by putting your resources together with your lady and marrying her and building a fucking fortune, but you're too stupid and weak to even think of that. It's just, Sean, I just don't. I've had it up to here with it.
Oh man, I hear the frustration.
I really have. Seriously, dude. It's. I can only take so much BS, and I hear all this crying and stuff on the internet about women, but these ain't doing nothing. You're making dumb decisions, and you're blaming women for you being a loser. When your decisions made you a loser, your weakness, and you never worked on it. If you bothered to ask one of them chicks you was with, I'm quite sure a few of them would have told you what was wrong with you. But you're too prideful. You're in your ego. You don't ask because nothing wrong with you. I got money. I can get me another one. Oh yeah, you can. But you're not getting better. No one wants to get better. They're dumb. They're weak, and they know they're weak. That's the biggest problem I got with it. They know they're weak, and they don't do anything to change it. They're okay with it.
The funny thing is, to your point, Mandrell, I'm not advocating that you got to be monogamous. All I'm saying is you ain't got to be a liar.
Thank you. Have the character. Your dignity.
And quite frankly, your point is, if you got it because you got money and I got money and I could get another one, you leave with your money. But then guess what? You're gonna get another money-hungry chick. And that's what you're attracting, money-hungry chicks, unless you're lying and deceiving them and acting like you love them. And that's why I'm like, yo, why do that? Why lie, deceive, and act like you love somebody if you're just trying to get the box?
I just told you, man, they're just doing it out of curiosity. That's all they doing.
No. That's see, I can't even let you walk on that one because you ain't got to be. It ain't about curiosity. And if it is about curiosity, you don't get everything you're curious about. And you need to understand that. That's what a lot of us men are spoiled about. We think because we got money and we can pay for it, we can get and take anything we want. And that's why we fail.
Yeah, I most definitely get it. But I'm explaining it. Well, it may even sound like I'm trying to defend it, but I'm not. But I'm just trying to let y'all know exactly like what they're doing when it comes to these.
But we understand that. And we call them bullshit on it. That's what we're doing. We're like, yeah, we get it. Been there, done that. But there's some BS, and ain't nobody pushing back or calling nobody on it. And I'm just raising my hand saying, yo, I call Cap. You're on some BS. You're just a spoiled little brat who wanted your way because you got a little money and you made a little accolades and made a little achievements. You feeling good about yourself. You can get all these little chicks that are attracted to that, but they ain't really attracted to you. They're attracted to your money because you ain't.
Yep.
What ain't your money?
They only attracted to the materials that you bring to them.
Absolutely.
But then at the same time, they don't care because they figured
because they have no value because they are nothing without their money.
Yeah, that's where they at with that. And they don't care. They just don't care. So they
right. They are nothing without their money. I get it because I see it all the time.
Yeah,
I see it all the time. But that is why I be like, yo, sometimes, and I ain't trying to be on the holy, but I'm like, yo, just be straight up about it. Be straight up. Yo, I just want the box. Yo, I don't care about relationship. I don't want no relationship, or I want a relationship when I come around. That's the relationship I want. When I'm around, we together.
And the thing is, Sean, it goes back to what we were saying earlier. How you start off, you got to keep up those things that attracted her. So if you attracted her with your wallet, you got to keep that up. If you attracted her with small gestures, keep doing small gestures. You know what I'm saying? But again, if you're leading with your wallet or lies, you got to keep them lies up because you got to tell 3 lies to cover up the first.
That's why I said it's like work. Because
I ain't working that hard, bro. I ain't finna lie to you. I don't.
You came into the scenario falsifying like crazy. That's
right.
It's like work because you falsified the whole startup. So now the moment you stop being Romeo, you gonna catch hell.
I ain't got time for the lies, man. I mean, no.
If you're not a genuine Romeo, don't pretend to be Romeo. Because the moment you stop, you got a hailstorm coming at you.
I mean, but let's not get it twisted. It ain't only the guys. The women, y'all full of it too.
Yes.
But we talking about but it's the men's panel.
No, I get it. I'm just saying that I'm bringing it up because we have some gold diggers who act like they're all that, and all they are about that money.
Oh, you can beat a gold digger. That's easy. She's starting for money. Say bye.
Yeah.
That money. You ain't gotta give her no money. You ain't gotta do it. Bye.
And here's the thing. It's super easy to point them out too, man. Like, say you're a guy who, like, I'm a believer that if I'm taking you out, I'm taking you out. Keep your purse to yourself. Don't reach for your wallet at all. I got it. You know, but when it comes to, like, if I give you a gift and you say something like, that's it, or where's the rest? Got it. Don't worry about it. You won't get nothing else. Not even a phone call. I'm out.
Yep.
I'm out right then and there. You should be grateful that I got you anything at all because I didn't have to do that. I've had to tell a woman that to her face before. Got beside herself and just no.
All right. So did you guys ever answer the question, where do men learn?
God. No, the thing is,
we're gonna be wrapping it up soon.
Yeah, I'll comment on that. Where do men learn closure? I learned it from my father. You know what I'm saying? And it goes back to what he thought I meant tonight. And my daddy thought I meant that. He knocked me upside the head. Or in this case, he turned over in his grave. But yeah, you either learn it from your father at home or the vast majority, I say 99%, don't learn it at all. We don't know how to exit relationships in a healthy way. You know, you see it all the time, guys cursing women out. And then even when the guy's getting ready to leave, the woman pulls the trigger on it first because of the way the guy is leaving. He's in the process of leaving.
I've seen a lot of cases lately that men are unaliving women because they are not interested. They don't want to be with the guy, and the guy is unaliving the woman, the kids. So I really don't think that closure is really taught to men in a healthy way. To just say, okay, you don't want to be with me, fine, I'll move on, or this isn't working, this is not exactly what I want. So, I'll move on to the person that's going to be able to give that to me without any issues. Because if you're trying to, just have your way with a woman who actually wants a relationship, but you just want this fly by night type of situation, you're gonna run into issues because you're not, you're not getting what you want, and she's not getting what she wants. So you're gonna, run into a wall. But if you're just honest and say, okay, I'm just gonna go with the person that's actually going to give me what I want, then you'll be fine. But I really don't think that men really do that. I think they literally leave the door open. And if that woman comes back around, she comes back around. If not, the next time they speak with her, they're gonna act as though nothing ever happened.
Hey, thank y'all, man. Hey, I see a come up. Let me ask y'all something. How much do lawyers charge? Like, do they charge about an hour or something?
Yeah, most of them.
I see a come up. Because there's this building for sale, not too far away from where I'm at. I don't know how much they want for it back. I kind of see a business here. What do lawyers charge per hour? Do y'all know? Do anybody know?
It depends on the lawyer.
It depends.
Yeah,
I mean,
depends on what
yeah.
kind of lawyer you have.
Yeah, I mean, because some lawyers, man, if you need a real good one, you can pay upwards to $400 to $800 an hour. Just depends on what you need the lawyer for, what kind of lawyer you need, and how good they are. I mean, so you just got to shop around.
So you said that to say what? You see it come up with what? What, like, are you like brainstorming while you're on the live, or is this pertaining to?
Hey, I still come up because but it was saying, how do you teach guys, the closure part and stuff like that? You can tell guys. I see a come up. I see potential. I see potential there.
Well, don't forget to.
Why are you talking about a come up? Then you won't know prices of lawyers.
I know, right?
Because he wants to be able to charge the same thing
I need to know
for a
how much they
consultation.
charge per hour to talk. Because I ain't gonna be sitting there and just be jawing,
But it wouldn't be a
all day. I
lawyer
wanna be
type of
charging
fee.
an hourly rate or something like that. Or I can look at it from a different scenario.
So
I'm
you
just
won't be a
putting something
bootleg
together right
relationship coach? Is that what you're saying?
Not so much as a relationship coach.
But what?
More like an exit type situation or whatever.
My pastor
Hey, there's already a market for it. There's already a market for it.
Wait. To teach guys how to exit a relationship.
Get out or leave.
Yeah,
How much you gonna charge you for that?
Mandrill, there are
30-second conversation. You tell them to get out or leave.
Yeah, there are people that don't understand that though.
You got to work them into that.
Hey, it's just like I said before. It's not so much as easy as saying I'm out.
Yeah.
So it would be more than a 30-something second convo.
Yeah.
It'd be trying to figure out, what would happen in this scenario if I just bounce? Well, I got this. What happened if I leave in that scenario? And blah, 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 blah. And I can just tell them, well, if you in this scenario, if you in this situation, X, Y, Z. If this is all you got, X, Y, Z. If this is how long it prolonged, X, Y, Z.
Hey, man, you better recommend to a real lawyer. You talk about if they got other like kids and marriage. Yeah, you need to recommend.
Hey, look, they can come talk to me. I can build their confidence up, and they can go catch.
I think it's a great come up. I think it's a great come up. You should invest into it because there are a lot of people in need of it. And like a lawyer, all a lawyer does is tell you, here are your options. You can do this.
Shout out to the spammers. Shout out to the spammers.
Who the hell is gonna pay for that? Listen, no.
Mandrill, there are guys that do.
It's a lot of crazy people paying.
That's the crazy part.
I want to see proof, King. I want to see receipts. I want to see receipts, King. Okay, here's my thing.
Reddit wouldn't exist if there wasn't a market for it.
Let me find out what the building is over here.
People that don't know what
Fair enough, King. But
common sense.
But you telling me that life ain't taught them yet?
Hell no. Obviously, they still doing stupid shit. They still doing stupid shit. So they ain't learned nothing.
Then those guys don't need to be here no more. Leave them alone. Let the world eat them up.
Well, what C is saying.
Why would I put any energy into that? I don't even want those guys' money.
All I see is
don't buy nothing from me. If that's what you want. I don't want you buying none of our products. I don't want you buying none of our services.
All he's saying is before they eat them up, spend some of that money over here.
That's all it is too.
That's funny.
I don't even want them jokers' money. I just can't stand that kind of weakness and just lack of
No, but it's true though. A lot of men don't know how to leave. They might not go to the extremes, like
Wait,
you know.
RP, you telling me these guys ain't never left a woman?
Mindra, let him talk.
Well, no, they might, but they might do it all wrong. I'm trying to think that just men have trouble. You know, for whatever reason, men do have trouble leaving, right? Because one of the things I think is when women cut you off, that shit's like hardwired. I mean, they could cut you off like in a heartbeat. Like I was just in love with her yesterday. All of a sudden, she's gone, and there ain't no way back in.
That's
No, men
that's
say, "Oh man, now I'm cold turkey." Some guys, right? Especially the romantic guys, you know, they don't know how to leave. That's why they do some crazy shit. You know, especially if they had a scarcity mindset, like
come on,
you know,
man.
he just keeps telling me I didn't get no leg, so I'm a big candidate for that. That's what he's trying to tell me.
Right, but the guys who
but the point I'm saying is, now I don't know if Super C has some kind of come up on this thing, but like that dude needs to do that for me. You know, my thing is like I got time and distance. You know, when I had my first girlfriend, we never really broke up. Shit, she might still think she's my girlfriend. That was like 60 years ago. Because she was on the block and I went to Buffalo to school and we just kind of fell apart. You know, so the closure was distance and time.
Yeah.
And for the most part,
usually what happens.
You know, with my girls, when I was going, I only had a short dating life from like 17 to 25, 26, 27, before. So it wasn't that long, but I had enough examples in there where I don't think I really ever had any hard breakups. I was like more like Derek Jeter. I had like a gift bag in the trunk and shit. You know, some of y'all might get that, but whatever.
Ron Payne, the problem is, hold on now. Y'all give my man Super C way too much goddamn credit now. He said there's a house for a sale. Then he want to know what the price for lawyer. He wasn't talking about no consultation with these men. He trying to get some real estate. That's what the fuck he talking about. He wasn't talking about no shit. He trying to make all that in now. Dog, I hope you ain't trying to break in a goddamn house knowing you're gonna need a lawyer afterwards. I hope that you see a goddamn come up. God damn.
Yeah, my thing. I'll say this to
I don't know where he getting that, but I got clean records. I ain't got time for crazy stuff like that. So that's far gone right there. Yeah,
I'll say this. I'll say this about what you're talking about, Super C. The could come up. It's not something I would do. But I mean, I don't know, man. You see a sucker, take a sucker. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, but that's
whatever, man. Make your money. It's a scam, but make your money, dude. Whatever, right. Man. Fuck it. It's not something I would do.
But seriously, though,
whatever. That's ridiculous. To pay somebody.
Come on, Derek Jackson.
But seriously though, whether it's Super C or whoever, a therapist, I think that men still need to learn how to let go. They need to learn how to find closure, because women will find closure. And if they don't, they will talk to their girls, they will have their communities, they will find some type of closure. Now, some won't. Some will go crazy, and that's a whole nother story. Wow, but women will move on better than a man would. A man would maybe collect a couple more women to put under his belt because the one woman left him, and that's who he really liked, but he didn't want to commit to her. He didn't want to communicate. He didn't want to be honest. He didn't want to be hot. And so then he lost her. So now it's like, oh, well, let me replace her. And it's like, sometimes you can't replace people. Some people are not replaceable. So I believe that men do need to go somewhere, talk to somebody. We do advocate for, therapy and counseling and everything on the panel. I think that sometimes men do need to be honest about not learning closure. I know biblically, and I do this myself, and anyone who knows me knows, you're supposed to cut it off quick. We ain't gonna be parlaying and we don't have no end goal. We're not going to be, doing all these things and you can't give me a definite answer, or you can't let me know what it is. I'm cutting it off quick. I'm not regretting it. I'm not looking back. I'm not turning to a pillar of salt. I'm continuing to move, because when you don't cut it off quick, then you give too much time and space and opportunity for the assumptions, for, the expectations that you're never going to actually reach. And then you start to kind of advocate for the behavior that the men is portraying, with not saying anything, not being upfront, not being honest, open, and transparent. And then you find yourself with all this time, no answers, no progressive movement. And so I think that when you do find closure, it needs to be quick. You need to cut it off quick. Close the door, shut the door, stop texting, stop calling, stop spending time. It needs to be something where it's like, I mean business. And if you're not going to mean business, nobody going to take you seriously.
So it means y'all men can't be going somewhere folded in the fetal position, sucking on your damn thumb, crying about that heifer, man. Let that shit go.
Let that shit burn, man. Like, if you loved it, it's gonna hurt, yeah. But let that shit burn and move on with life.
Oh man.
And like Precious said, don't look back. Don't look back. Hey, that happens, let it burn. Let them feel it. Process some feelings. Take your time. If you need to get some therapy for it, do that. But heal from it. And then don't go see Super C, man. Come on.
Come see me.
Don't waste your money. I ain't gonna hate on the brother making his money. I mean, you go ahead, do what you do, man. No hate, no hate here, but but fellas, yeah, just unalive women. Okay, those are the guys who need to hear the death penalty today. Man. You unalive a woman because she rejected you. See the weakness, Sean.
I mean,
Precious, come on.
Am I wrong? Let me say this. Men love harder and more intentionally.
True.
And that's why it's sometimes easier for women. Also, women have a lot more opportunities of finding a no good man, or what they consider the epitome a cheating man, than men have with a good woman. So a man might see a good woman and be like, yo, I don't want to let it go because of that. But women make it's easier because they don't usually have a good man. So
you don't want to let her go, but what you doing with her? What you doing with her? Are you meeting her parents? Are y'all taking it to the next step? What exactly are you doing with this good woman?
Depending on, I mean, you should have already done all that. I don't know why you're breaking up. That's, it's too many variables in that. But if you broke up and it was your fault, then that's a lot of the reason why it's harder for a man to get an exit strategy, because he messed up and he's over there trying to make up for it by staying with her. So it's a lot easier to say, oh, just leave her alone. But you messed up. You was a a-hole or a penis. So, so that's what we're running into often. But what I was going to say, my final thought is, avoidance is not a resolution. And women, y'all think that avoidance is a resolution often. Just, I'm going to avoid them. I'm going to ghost them.
Wait, we're talking about men, Sean. Okay. Men also think that avoidance is a resolution.
I was getting to that.
Let's stick to that.
No. The reason why I bring up women often is because y'all have a lot more control than y'all give credit to. And sometimes y'all allow some of the things that you could put the fire up under a man to make him do things that he should be doing. So I bring that to that. That's why. But I'll stick to the men. Men, avoidance is not a resolution. Ghosting a woman, all of that. The main thing is, be honest. All y'all got so much. We got so much bravado about we the man and the alpha and this, and can't even tell the truth. Are afraid to tell the truth in your own house. Help me understand that. I know killers that are out there doing God's work, got the whole neighborhood in fear, and he's afraid to go home and tell the truth. Men, step up, be more truthful. Only thing to me that you should lie about is if it's life threatening. Some woman leaving you is life threatening? No, it's not. So if you're gonna be a man, then man up and start telling the truth. Otherwise, lying is for cowards. Again, unless it's life threatening. But if it ain't life threatening, you just a spoiled little coward. And grow up. That's all I say, grow up. I feel this way. I ain't gotta lie to nobody because what's the worst that's gonna happen? I'm gonna lose you? All right. I'll deal with it. Yeah, I ain't losing, I'm not losing my life. So unless it's life threatening, I think anybody who lies is a coward. They could be intelligent because they don't want to deal with the nonsense that they know they're going to have to deal with. But that's part of life, dealing with hard circumstances that are uncomfortable and sometimes unfortunate. Deal with it. Man up, as they would say. So men love harder. Find a person to love hard for. And when you put in that time and that investment of time, it's difficult to go to stray away. So when that happens, just call Super C. That's it. That's it. Just call and get that help.
Well, you know what? I just wrote this down because it's a new one, a life-threatening lie. So I'm gonna coin that one. You just trademark that, a life-threatening lie, whatever the hell that is. But that's a good one. I haven't heard about that before, but my final thought is on closure. I mean, it's just something I think, man, it's like a rite of passage. You're gonna have to just deal with it. And this whole thing about taking it over the top and being, when your woman is leaving you, I just think guys have to deal with it. They deal with it differently, but I think the men who get too far gone, I just think that they've already been too far gone. That I can't see them being in a good relationship at all, especially the family annihilators. I could never even see, I couldn't even fathom that. I mean, you're hurt for a while and then time kind of heals the wound and you kind of move on, and you just need to move on. You should have some buddies you could talk to, cry on somebody's shoulder. I mean, I had a friend of mine, his wife was cheating on him and they were getting ready to get a divorce. And she wanted to get, she got alimony and everything. But I told him, I said, listen, man, you can feel bad all you want, but you ain't, any man who's been in the market had a woman cheat on him before. So if you've been in the market, I mean, so this just, first of all, let's slow down for a second. You ain't alone. So you can't go overboard. He was thinking about all kinds of crazy things. So I had to talk him off the ledge. But, so you need to have some buddies you could talk to about that. And, so nice, living a good life now. You just move on. That's all. And understand that you're not unique in this kind of thing. Not that, women. So he made some mistakes with the wife, but, he's all right now. But he needed somebody to talk to. And that's what you need to have. And a lot of guys don't have that, but that's one of the things you need to kind of cultivate. Find some people you can rely on, some dudes you can talk to, have some barbershop talk, and that can help you through a lot of bad situations, talking to your peers, because a lot of them had a lot of the same situations and experiences you had. Maybe not a divorce, but I don't know any man who's been in the dating market and have a woman that broke his heart. Matter of fact, you don't have a rite of passage if you don't know how that feels. So let me land it there.
Yeah, Jamal Bryant also talked about having a male counterpart to actually, hold you accountable. All right. Thank you so much for that final thought, Vendro.
Yeah. Well,
final thought.
Yeah, I know. We're doing final thoughts. Now, my thing is, fellas, if you're in this situation where you need Super C, you got to graduate before you get to me. I can't deal with that soft shit. I can't. I've been around masculinity my whole life. I've been around alphas my whole life. I had a father in the home and a ton of uncles. Okay. to school my sister and I, put us on games. So we were lucky. But if you don't know how to deal with rejection, you're a bitch. Plain and simple. I don't respect guys like that. I don't. And then these guys unaliving whole families. They don't need to be here. I think they should be euthanized, so they don't pollute the human genome with their putrid DNA. That's honestly how I feel about it. I mean, I got no mercy for people like that, for cowards. And like Sean said, you could be the most successful guy in the world, but if you're afraid to come home and tell the truth to your wife, you're weak. Why are you afraid of anything? Why should you be afraid to tell the truth? You are who you are. Be who you are, and see who's left standing around you. That's your actual circle. Again, until you start eliminating people off. Because they're not no good. They're not no good to you. But yeah, I got no patience for that. But to be fair, Precious, men don't actually, we learn, but that's kind of on the job training in most cases. That's why 99% of us don't know how to handle rejection. We don't know how to get closure, even though we need it. And that's why guys jump from woman to woman after they've had their heart broken. They're trying to get the emotions, deal with the emotions in a physical way, as opposed to really dealing with it emotionally. We're never taught to go seek help for that or anything like that, nor how to deal with it. So fellas, there's nothing wrong. I'll lay my plane here. There's nothing wrong with therapy. Go get therapy. Try that out. See where it goes. Give it an honest shot. If it doesn't work, hey, at least you tried. And as long as you're trying, you're not quitting. And as long as you don't quit, you can't lose. So it ain't over till it's over. Just, keep your hands to yourself. Nope, no problem.
Alrighty. So King, we'll have you go next unless you have time for Super C to go, and then you wrap us up.
I have time to wait.
Alrighty. Super C, can you give your final thoughts and then we'll wrap up with King? Super C, you there? Maybe he's not there anymore. I know.
Can you hear me?
It's in and out. Go ahead and talk and see if it comes through clear.
Yeah. All right, fellas. I'm a truck driver. For the guys that need guidance in that area, listen. My YouTube channel, TikTok, things of that nature. You can send me a message at any time. If I happen to be in your state, hey, my time is precious. I'll give you the game. Help you out a little bit. That's all I gotta say. Go ahead. Handle your business.
Thank you, Super C. All right, King, take us out. Take us out.
The title of today was Where Do Men Learn Closure? When most people coming up are in relationships, dating, kind of happens around middle school, high school area. I once had a lady from a different culture who I was dating, had a relationship with, that at the end of my junior year going into our senior year, she went back to her culture, like her home country. And we had talked and communicated. Email was kind of in its infancy, so we couldn't just, email the way that you can now, yada, yada. And I thought everything was great inside of our young relationship. Well, we had plans on linking up and doing some things after she got back from her country. And when she got back, she broke up with me. And it was out the blue. No reason, no explanation, no anything. I didn't understand it. It hurt a bit, but whatever, right? But in the back of my mind, I had always wanted closure from that. And I asked her, hey, what happened? And she gave me the line, it wasn't you, it's me. Didn't make sense to me. Okay. I got married at 20, divorced at 34. And I started asking myself, do I just understand women? Like, is it me? Am I not getting it? And it was, raising my hand, it was me, part of it. And I actually, in my mind, and even though me and the person who had broken up with me from my 11th grade year, we weren't really friends, I still needed that closure, or felt like I did. Let me say this. I felt like I did. So I reached out to her and I asked her, I said, hey, we're grown now. Was there something indeed that was a reason other than it's not you, it's me? And to this day, I'm not sure. I don't think she still told me the truth because she stuck to that, right? But in my head, it's not making sense because things were great. Why would you all of a sudden go to another country and then come back and just break up with me? So, where do men learn closure? Trial by fire, and in my opinion, you really start listening and understanding culture when you seek guidance from people that maybe have been through it, and you actually choose to listen, and you have a mindset that, in my opinion, where I'm at now, if I tell you or anybody I don't need closure, so some people hear that and go, well, that's a guy that's not healed or whatever. But I'm at the point where it's like, well, no, I don't care. I used to care from that thing that happened to me over 20 years ago. Like, why did she just break it with me? Now I don't care. I just do me. I enjoy the things that make me happy, and the people that attract, it attracts. People that it don't, I don't give a shit. So I think you learn closure by understanding and being in tune to like what your mindset is all about.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate everyone's closing remarks. Can't handle rejection. Call 888 Super C 787-3723.
Ain't got a number yet. Working on that.
I appreciate all of the perspectives this evening. I appreciate all the men who came up, from Ricky to Hank, of course, King, Sean, Arpain. Thank you so much, Marindrell, Super C. Thank you guys all for your perspectives. We come here to gain understanding from the male perspective. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you to the chat for doing y'all job. Thank you for those who have liked the video. It's one thing that he did say in that video, and he says milk is good for you, right? But when it spoils, it doesn't smell good, and you can't just leave it in your home. You have to pour it out. It's not something you could just leave and think that, you're not going to smell it and it's not going to affect the whole atmosphere of where you're at. So I think that, I hope that men do find the outlets, do get an accountability partner so they know when to pour out the expired milk. Because every woman that comes into your life doesn't mean you well. Every woman that comes into your life is not your wife. And those who do not stay maybe weren't meant to stay. Maybe those who left were the lessons you needed to learn. Who knows? But like he said, milk is good for you, but at some point it does have an expiration point. And I think if more men learned to leave, they may have favorable outcomes instead of running into the same type of girl, the same type of woman. And that could be a comfort level too. And nothing grows when you're comfortable. So sometimes you have to get outside of those comfort levels and say, okay, I'm tired of the Friday, Saturday, Sunday ordeal. At some point in life, I'm probably going to be alone and I will be lonely. There is a difference, but you spend enough time alone, no matter how many chicks you sleep with on the weekend, you still going to be lonely at some point. There's going to be a time where you're going to be lonely, and a lot of men don't talk about the fear of being alone either. So that'll be another show. But on tonight's episode of The Real Precious, I really appreciate everyone who stopped through. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will see you guys again next Monday. My schedule has kind of leveled out, and so I do want to start a radio show on AMP. I've actually, all I got to do is just start. So if anybody wants to join me over there, let me know. If you maybe want to be a guest on the show, let me know. But I do want to start a radio show, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to air in the morning on Sunday and then in the evening, like an after dark show, you know. So we'll, you know, do some things in the morning, have an AMP show. This is actually found on Amazon. So if you have Amazon, you can download the AMP AMP. My show is going to be called Love and Listen Live to Good Music. I'm already on there, so if you do have AMP, definitely follow me, friend me, whatever it is on there, I forget. But King does a great job with, I mean, every day I get the notification, let's get amped. And so I was waiting for my schedule to kind of like level out, and it finally has. And so I'm gonna pick two time slots. It's probably gonna be 9 a.m. on Sunday and then 9 p.m. on Sunday. So definitely watch out for that on my community wall on YouTube. I'll advertise it there as well as my YouTube, or I'm sorry, my Instagram. So we're going to start that Love and Listen Live to Good Music on AMP. So again, guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. You know how I always say and how I always end my shows. Be real with yourself so you can be real with others. You guys have a great evening. Have a great Tuesday. Bye-bye.
Peace.